Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
It is time for ETN.
To ETN, the
It's 11
most
a.m.
European podcast in the world.
Tuesday, 7th of April. It's a good day.
Boy,
It's nice and
boy, let's just get straight to it. What has been cooking over the weekend? New media is here. New media is here. For all the naysayers,
Indeed.
for all the doubters, we've just seen what is rumored to be an 150 million acquisition from OpenAI to TBPN, the pioneers of new media, the pioneers of the live format. This was some of the biggest news, definitely the biggest news of this year, in my opinion, judging it by the amount of outlets that covered this when we were doing research. I mean, we saw it anyway, because we as soon as the news came out, we saw, but the amount of outlets covering this was insane. More outlets were covering this to oppose, like, 11 Labs is massive. Like, more UK outlets were covering this compared to like 11 Labs raising like an 11 billion valuation. Absolutely insane. We have got an interesting docket. We're going to get to that.
Shuffle to the
We're
middle
also. Oh, I'm out of frame, am I? We're going to get into that. We're also going to get into, it's very, very timely, but the New Yorker have just released a hit piece on Sam Altman. This was born out of hundreds of interviews, speaking with different sources, sort of internal memos that have never been seen before were uncovered. The whole piece culminates to basically a broad consensus of a lack of trust for Sam Altman. Is he the person to have AGI in his hands when the time comes?
That was such an interesting piece. It was from Ronan. I think it was Ronan, actually. Ronan and another guy. I can't remember what his name is, but we're gonna dive into it. But it was super interesting. They did a thread actually on it. That I think we should go through.
Thread here, we can run through it. It's a scathing review.
It is. It
is not a super positive review.
Yeah.
We will get to that. We're also going to touch on the Citrini analyst number 3, who's doing God's work out there in the Strait, bringing everyone live coverage of some of these oil tankers on fire, which you love to see. Taking journalism to the max. People are saying this is what extreme journalism looks like. And the internet has responded
This is just
positively.
what looks. It's what good.
This is what good looks like. This is what good looks like. In terms of the guest lineup, one of our more banger of shows today, just to straight off the docu, Dr. Max Werner, founder and CEO at Hades. They're doing geothermal and critical mining infrastructure for Europe. They raised 15 million in seed funding led by HV and Headline, 2 friends of the stream. That was back in Feb, so we're going to be asking about the raise. What is the money for? Why?
We saw him in Slush in November. That was the first time we met him. He is a gangster, and it's going to be good. It's been months since we talked to him, but also, yeah. But it also feels like not that long ago. So it's quite nice. It's going to be good.
It feels like a year, but it only has been a couple months.
And since then, they've done they've been crushing, which is really cool.
Yeah, super crushing. So a lot of stuff on, why is Europe vulnerable from a critical minerals perspective? Some of the stats around how much Europe produces from a critical minerals perspective. What does this mean geopolitically? What does this mean for the continent?
Indeed.
We're also going to be talking to Ted Person, partner at EQT Ventures, recently led Star Cloud's round and also an investor in 1X, the robotics company based in SF, but do have European founders, or one of the founders is European, I believe. Similar to what we did with... is it Swedish? Yeah,
Swedish.
Yeah. Nice. Similar to what we did with Index and Granola, why is EQT investing in these companies? What do they see specifically in StarCloud and 1X? And then talk about some deep tech trends across Europe. Following that, we've got Mats Andre Christiansen, CEO and co-founder of Take, a personal favorite. We're bringing chess into the ecosystem. It's the first chess-related startup.
It's going to be good. It's so funny. So they just had a Reuters article come out yesterday titled Carlson Startups Takes Aim at Chess.com with Move into Play and Learn Tools. Super interesting. TLDR is Magnus Carlsen's chess startup Take announced on Monday. So yesterday it was pushing into the play and learning market central to chess.com's core business, despite commercial ties preventing him from promoting the venture directly. 5 times classical chess world champion Carlsen is a major shareholder in and co-founder of Take, which is expanding just from a content platform into tools for playing and improving chess, long seen as the backbone of chess.com's dominance. That was an article from Reuters. It's going to be very interesting to talk to Mats. He is the co-founder of Take, and obviously is publicly pushing this thing based on that information. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the plan is, what the strategy is, understand a little bit more about Take, why they're moving into this space now, and yeah, what the plan is to dominate.
My favorite part of the whole thing is the name.
Yeah, very good.
For anyone who watched streamers play chess, you'll know that Take is
Explain it to us, sir.
A series of internal moves that the people do in their minds. So like, if takes here, then takes here, then takes here, then takes, then takes, then takes, then takes. Because they'll spin the I don't want to call it like an algorithm, like the line, they'll call it. They'll spin the line in their head down to like 7 or 8 moves that involves pieces being exchanged. When an exchange happens in your mind, you reference it as take. So, you're like, if I go here, then they go here, then here, then takes, then takes, then takes, then takes, then takes. Hence, take. Nice. Which is just an amazing name.
I reckon. Do you reckon they'll shorten that? I feel like because we say the name ETN. I don't know how many times, but at least each 50 times a day.
Like takes.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like imagine if we had to say European Technology Network every single time.
It does just end up.
But the fact that we just say ETN is like very easy. Whereas like take. That's just
take.
Yeah.
I love it so much. It's so funny.
The office must be super annoying. Just quickly, leave outdated business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business, multi-currency accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, all in one platform. Go to airwallex.com.
Following Take co-founder, we have Sebastian Mallaby, author of The Infinity Machine, which I have here. I'm really embarrassed I actually didn't get to finish it in the end. I have about 70 pages left. But got the bulk of the way through. Absolutely one of an insanely stellar book. And I was realizing I brought my other collection of Sebastian Mallaby's books with me today because I didn't realize I was such a big fan. I was quite embarrassed.
You're a big old fanboy.
I was quite embarrassed to realize I had no idea he actually authored More Money Than God, which people have been responding to a tweet. They're a huge fan of that. But also one of my previous favorites, The Power Law, Venture Capital, and the Art of Disruption here. Got a bit of wear and tear in it because I've read it twice. A dream come true that I didn't even know was a dream of mine.
I didn't even know Sebastian Mallaby existed.
Which is so good.
Released I
can't remember someone. I think I was talking to Sean, like SWIX today, and he was like, "Yeah, I've got more money than God on my desk right now." And I was like, "Yeah, no way, same." Then I looked at it, I was like, "Why is he saying that?" And I was like, "Oh my God, Sebastian Mallaby," which is funny.
Jokes. Yeah, you told me I need to read
this one here. Well, why don't you take that one home? I mean, you've got a lot of reading to do. Actually.
I've got a lot of reading to do.
Got a lot of reading
I have The Infinity Machine. I'm reading another book at the moment that I thought, let me get through that first.
There we go.
Yeah, maybe that's, yeah.
After that, we have Sebastian de Brewer, marketing at DOSS. He runs biz dev and marketing for this whole company. It's basically a new modern day ERP. The ERP space is something that has lacked any innovation for eons. It's one of the more overlooked legacy players in the financial stack at the moment. Sits in the world of financial planning and analysis, connected to ones like EPM system, for example. You'd have an EPM, you'd have an ERP. ERP is more focused on the accounting side of things, whereas the EPM would be more focused on like strategic planning and high level stuff. We're going to be digging into like everything that they're doing over there, which is going to be fun. Following that, we have SWIX, founder at AI Engineer. They've got their inaugural event this Thursday, which we will be live streaming at. The roster is absolutely insane. A nice mix of sort of AI, some modern day AI legends like Peter Steinberger and sort of government officials from the UK. A lot of research teams from all the different labs. It's going to be a real great get together.
Indeed.
Following that, to cap off to the end of the show, we have NBA All-Star and co-founder of Perpetual Celebrity Commerce, Meta World Peace, also co-founder, of 37 Partners. We're going to be discussing his new launch of Perpetual Celebrity Commerce, which is essentially an AI avatar platform which helps protect celebrities from sort of owning their digital likeness, essentially. So a lot of stuff to jump into with him, very relevant right now, given the rise of this kind of stuff. So that's going to be a super fun one. I believe the co-founder is also joining, so it's going to be a big group of us today on the show, which is very nice.
Yeah. Big old tech party.
Big old tech party. Without further ado, let's talk about the TBPN acquisition from OpenAI.
Before we do that, Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market. Stay informed and profit from your knowledge. Go to polymarket.com.
So, one, what the hell is going on? Just to start us off, this was, I know I've told this story just previously already to Orla. When Geordie, first of all, genius move by TBPN for them to announce it, not OpenAI. I saw Lulu Cheng had some thoughts on this around the strategy behind this, whether premeditated or not, was this is two sort of young founders getting a win instead of large lab buys upcoming company absorbs. Like the narrative change between like TBPN
I also think
and
just
OpenAI announcing it
because of their goodwill sorry, I apologize, I'm just doing a tweet at the moment, but the goodwill, I just want to jump in, the goodwill that they've created in the tech ecosystem meant that if they didn't announce it, it would have gone a different way, I think.
100%. Yeah. The feeling, the narrative there was it had to be
like people TBPN. Want them to win, right?
Yeah. And they really lent into that really well. So speechless just to start, but when this news was released, obviously it was the day after April Fools, so there were elements here of, TBPN always, they're insane marketers, they're always doing kooky stuff. There were elements here of like, is this some sort of delayed April Fool's joke? I remember, Luke, you sent me Geordie's post saying that they'd been acquired by OpenAI with a lovely graphic. And my first instance was like, oh yeah, pretty smart way to like sort of farm engagement. Like not bad. Like not one of their best, stunts, but like pretty smart.
Just straight out there.
Yeah, looks relatively low effort to what they normally do. So I was thinking like, okay, like interesting, but good April Fools. And then like someone else pinged me, was like, hey, OpenAI has acquired TBPN. I was
mate, I got so many messages.
I replied like, dude, no, like you're an idiot. Like this is an April Fool's joke. And I got on the tube because I was heading to dinner with a few old uni friends. And I got off the tube and I had like 30, the tube was probably like 20 minutes the journey. I had like 30 WhatsApp messages. I had a bunch of emails. Had people messaging me on X, on LinkedIn, on WhatsApp, on everything. And then I was like, oh, it was bonkers. Because I saw Zero Hedge, like who usually trusted source on X will always cover like trending financial topics or like geopolitical topics, puts out that OpenAI has acquired TBPN.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that's when I realized, I was like, oh, that's real. This is actually just happened. And that's when I called you.
So the main thing that we want to talk about here is is how widely reported this thing was. Do you want to jump into that?
Yeah. So like comparing this in terms of the coverage to other like substantial things that have happened in the tech ecosystem recently, this was covered everywhere. I've got a few of them here. WSJ exclusive, OpenAI obviously put the report out. TechCrunch covered it. Unsurprising. The Guardian covered this. The Guardian in the UK covered TBPN being acquired by OpenAI. That for me is just insane. CNBC, Hacker News, Financial Times, New York Times, Reuters, like that's not even scratching the surface. There are a bunch more of these. This was by way of legacy media outlet covering news. This was one of the most widely covered stories in tech, not just this year, but I think like also the previous year. In terms of how many like this would sit in the realms of like SpaceX like is going to IPO or something, or like OpenAI does another crazy thing, or
I think
what it something.
I think what it highlights mostly is the fact that narrative is like the only thing really that's that is actually I think let me take that back. It's not the only thing that's a moat, but what it shows is the importance of building narrative. People obviously have, there's been a little bit of backlash on the fact, on the OpenAI side, the fact that they are, buying this and might be controlling that, and, that they might be almost like puppet master to the puppet type thing. I kind of disagree. I think they'll stay fairly like editorial independent, but then again, how far can they take that? But it's just wild that you can it's now just one thing, if that makes sense. It's just like the one narrative that people should be listening to. That's kind of, where things are going. And like, you've got all of these different media outlets doing this, that, and the other, pushing different narratives. And it's all kind of concentrated into this acquisition, which is like very interesting.
Yeah, this is a sign. What this is, when we launched this show, like officially launched.
Hence why we launched this show. Yeah,
we saw this 8 months ago. One, how great they are at what they do, and how like they're just experts in every single part of every single element of the show, and everything behind it as well. We have a framed photo, over here of Geordie and John as a nod to the pioneers, right?
I think a lot of people will be like, oh, why are ETN covering this? Like, you guys are competing. But essentially, like, there is so much white space out there to go and build in media. Hence why we don't necessarily see it as as competition. Maybe like I'll read a little bit from. I have like so many thoughts, but maybe let's do like the factual stuff that's been covered first, and then we can go into it. So this is from the Wall Street Journal, covered by Katie Dayton, who's traditionally covered a lot of stuff that TBPN do on behalf of Wall Street Journal in the past. OpenAI buys tech industry talk show TBPN. TBPN staff will help with marketing and communications at OpenAI, but keep their editorial independence. The ChatGPT parent says. OpenAI is getting into the business of daily news. The maker of ChatGPT said it has acquired TBPN, an online talk show that aims to compete with Bloomberg and CNBC, in by the minute analysts of technology news and executive interviews. OpenAI declined to disclose the terms of the transaction, while TBPN's audience remains modest, averaging around 70,000 viewers per episode across various online platforms. It's funny how they refer to that as modest. That is not modest. The show has become popular among Silicon Valley power players who consider it more supportive of their industry than traditional news outlets. Chief executives who have appeared as guests include Meta Platforms' Mark Zuckerberg, Microsoft's Satya Nadella, and OpenAI's Sam Altman. So just pausing here for a little sec. Or maybe a little bit on the financials. It was known that they were generating about $5 million revenue from advertising last year. TBPN was on track to make more than $30 million in revenue in 2026, according to the company. Which, by means of our checks, in terms of who we speak to, those numbers add up. So it was bought by, OpenAI was bought TBPN to encourage constructive conversation around the changes AI creates by helping the show grow, according to a memo sent by Fidji Simo, the OpenAI's CEO of applications, who, by the way, recently stepped down 2 days after the acquisition was complete, or a day after the acquisition was complete, citing medical reasons for her sort of temporary leave. Is it temporary or was it?
It's more like I've
stepping back for now.
I've been pretty ill and I've been fighting through it for quite a while.
Fine.
But that was said in paraphrasing slightly. But I think now it's like, okay, this deal that I was working on is done. Now is the time to maybe just relax for a second.
Fine. And just see where I'm at.
Sense. We wish she as well. And then just pausing on the analysis right now. So the topic of, somebody ran a report on analysing the sentiment around the acquisition, basically scrubbing Twitter replies, scrubbing comments. And we've seen, I'll just say right now.
What do you think about the sentiment?
The sentiment is, in my opinion, I think, huge congrats on everyone so supportive of Geordie and John's decision to do this. They've earned it, they deserve it. Everyone is super happy for them. Point number one. Number two is that there is the most discussed thing was around editorial independence. Yeah. In my opinion, there is just no simple way that you can remain editorial independently. They report into the director of global affairs, not like Sam Altman, not like Fidji. It's someone whose job it is to manage crises.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, that's just one avenue of it. But the second avenue of it is, this paper just cited then amazing guests, including Mark Zuckerberg. There will have been a point in which Musk would have come on the show, but now probably not. So how, from an external point looking in, rival AI labs will probably not want to come on the show anymore. I think if it's the OpenAI show, which in a little bit
it is now,
it just won't. It just won't attract the same level of talent. It will get insane talent. Their guest lineup is the best in the business. And I mean no way to slight them in any way here, but just purely from that notion, there would have to be at least a consideration point or at least friction between, do I go on this show now?
I think that was the key thing, was the friction. I think in the most simple terms, has this acquisition created or reduced the amount of friction for the show to grow / guests to come on? Growth of the show one could argue that, if they can't get necessarily certain people like an Elon Musk on, will that hinder the growth of the show? Probably. I think because they're now going into a wider, they're a super niche show, they're a tech show, but they're now widening their scope to hit, more audiences. And that was like, I guess one of the theses behind it. But then also, does it increase friction for guests to come on the show? Yes, it does.
I think so.
In the most simple terms, it does. So it is, it's an interesting.
And I've seen so many people give their thoughts and their takes. A lot of people who are just sort of riding the algorithm, which is, that's we don't judge that. We do that sometimes as well with our posts.
Yeah, we do.
Like, you got to lean into stuff. You got to ride the algorithm sometimes. However, a lot of the posts.
We're getting comments right now on our live stream saying, "Don't write." This is from AML at Alicia_Lobo. Loving this one. Don't rule out Anthropic or Google DeepMind buying you guys out. Hence the Gemini.
Well, if you've
Gemini
seen,
top right now.
Yeah, Luke's sporting a lovely nano banana jumper there. It's a slight nod to anyone watching. But we've also dropped Mistral. We've sent them a fax. So we're waiting for Mistral to reply to our fax. We've applied to send them a fax. The application's gone through. We've sent them a fax. We are now waiting to hear back on that fax. So you can expect a response within 2 to 5 weeks of whether we're allowed to begin discussing.
We just had a bank holiday. We're coming out of the holiday.
So one of our many bank holidays, truly deserved. But let's talk about.
Oh god, the rival tech show has been acquired. Bank holiday.
I was gonna put a tweet out like ETN is like, we're monitoring the news, like we're assembling a team, and we will start like discussing this on Tuesday on our show, like similar to what Ursula von der Leyen
did. What was that thing for Ursula? She was like, something was happening over the weekend. She was like, we've set up a meeting ready for Monday.
Yeah, I think it was like the war,
and everyone was like, but it's Saturday and Sunday. What's like?
It was like,
what's so important on the weekend?
The war isn't gonna wait because you're European and you need to have a break. So good. Anyway, but a great point on the stream. Like, let's talk a little bit about. So, like, one, just to cut off, like TBPN, they have done insane things for this ecosystem. They have pioneered new media. They are truly the goats. And we're very appreciative that they just keep raising the bar, because all it does is make us try and work harder, which is a great thing. Secondly, I will add now that, like, talking about the future of new media, what does this mean? Essentially, what's happened here is that, we're about to see, value has been created for founders, right? Like, they didn't really take any money on. I mean, people are saying they had no investment. Like, we can discuss whether the incubation period with Ramp is relevant to that. But however, let's look at what this means for the market. Like, value has just been created for two individuals in the realms of 50 million or something like that. I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know how much like they own or anything like that. But in the realms of the low 100 millions, people are saying 150 million. What that means now is, one, people will flock to that space to try and make money. So we will see more shows, more live stream, more popularity around the format. And two, we will see venture capital cash flow into the ecosystem.
It's going to swing back to trad media.
Well, let's be careful. We don't want to become trad media now. But within that, we will see venture capital cash flow into the ecosystem, because now there is a potential to actually make a multiple on your investment. Previously, it was like, why would I invest in a podcast? Why would I invest in a live show? Why would I invest in a broadcast network? But this is the thing, like, people are not understanding that this is not just a podcast. This is a new form of media. It's a new form of reaching your customers, your buyers. It's a new way of receiving information and digesting information. It is a new entity. It cannot be put in the box of previous media. It's a completely new thing. I almost like, it's an emerging market, and this acquisition has proven that.
So this is a good time to move on to the Jason Lemkin article on X.
Yeah.
If we pull this up, this is super interesting, and it's definitely worth the read. It's not very long. So Jason posted an article. I want to say it was like a day ago, maybe April 3rd, so 4 days ago actually. So it was a while ago. This was like just off the back of the acquisition, and he says why every tech company at scale should be looking at deals like OpenAI and TBPN. A few thoughts, having been doing founder-centric content for rather a while. Number one, OpenAI isn't public or profitable, but I think every public and profitable company should look at doing a deal or two like this. Why? For every big public tech company today, their cash is trapped on the balance sheet. If you spend it on marketing directly, profitability goes down. This is really interesting. But if you turn it into another asset, there's no real impact on earnings. If you can find a media or community asset at scale, one that's profitable and truly synergistic, and can buy it for any reasonable price, it's almost free mass scale marketing to your core audience. You turn, say, $150 million in cash stuck on a balance sheet into a bunch of goodwill and free marketing. That was the goal with the Barstool idea. It didn't work out, but it could have. That's a really interesting point. No one else I've seen so far has talked, has offered that angle, which I think is a really interesting one, and something that I would want to deep dive a little bit more. Number two, right now, comms and marketing teams, number one is getting their CEOs on. Wait, what?
Number one obsession.
Right. Okay, is a number one obsession of getting their CEOs on top long form podcasts, be it Joe Rogan, TBPN, 20VC, etc. They view these as the number one media outlet to get their perspective out, especially to tech audiences. Even the busiest public company CEOs reserve blocks on their weekly calendars for these. This is newish and a big deal. Number three, the chance to buy one of these channels, even at the risk it impacts the reach over time, by now being owned, is a good bet to take for anyone at scale where the cost would be immaterial. Yes, TBPN in 2030 may not be the same TBPN it was when it was independent. So what? Number four, TBPN is a win-win, positive media outlet, which makes it much easier for a tech company versus a media company to acquire. The information has incredible journalism, probably the best in tech, but I don't think any tech company wants to acquire that tone and perspective to enhance their execs and brand. E.G. The information would be a better fit at a media company. Agree. Like it's it's not necessarily, it's not a journalism. Like we're not journalists.
Yeah.
Well, we are
distributors,
tech people that are distributing
want to shed
information.
A light. I'm curious about the
exactly.
Yeah?
I think it's just like widespread curiosity.
But what I will say about
which
this
is interesting.
I do.
Who are leveraging trad media as a means to distribute.
So I agree in a few ways, and I think the good. I don't think one needs to buy the whole outlet for this, right? If we look at what's happening, why did in the post that OpenAI put out, why did OpenAI say that they did this? They were like, the narrative around AI, Sam Altman was saying to Axios, if it was a political candidate, it would be the least popular candidate. Like AI in general has a marketing problem when we try and reach the masses. So one, that's an interesting thing that he's discussed.
That
Two,
interview, by the way, was awful.
It was dreadful, wasn't it? The second point is I
don't know who that journalist is, but
he, I don't know who that is. But the second point essentially is what is the benefit for OpenAI here? They say that they want to, they say let them control independence. Sam Altman was saying, I hope that they continue to take, sort of jabs at me. I know that I'll probably make a few mistakes and that will help them along the way, et cetera, et cetera. But I just can't stop thinking about they were doing that anyway.
Yeah.
The only thing that changes now is you own them.
Yeah, I think, but the only thing... It's so Jason says number 5. It's fine if it's run as is, and all OpenAI gets more is high quality exposure to its core audience, 20 hours a week. That's.
But are OpenAI gonna then will it be ads of OpenAI on there? Or?
I don't know.
Because they have in some ways exposure to them already, kind of the guest. Everyone knows who OpenAI is. From a marketing stunt already, they garnered the attention of the globe in terms of who works in tech.
I think it's not right now. What they're buying is the fact that it's John and Geordie are very good at translating what's going on in the AI world to the norm, not necessarily just normal people, but more just
to tech specific
and technical, whatever. And so it is offering some form of it's offering some form of bridge that OpenAI can obviously get to.
But they were doing it already. They were covering OpenAI all the time. They were explaining the new technologies. They were it was already happening.
True.
That's what I just can't work out. So like, and people are here and we're over analyzing things and we're doing this and we're doing that and we're saying, oh, this was distracted. I think in reality, these guys hit an absolute home run. What do we say? What's the future? You do what you want when you pop in. That rings true for anything that you're doing. Yeah. These guys were popping. They can do what they want. OpenAI just raised 122 billion. They suck at marketing and the narrative around them was pretty bad. So how can we help this? Let's buy that.
Yeah.
Like that, I think, essentially, and maybe Sam Altman will have had a say in this, yes, but it was led by, Fuji. Like, they are expert marketers. We know that. We like see what they do all the time. They manage to garner global attention so consistently, so easily. I think Geordie is the mastermind behind this, where it almost like they were just doing it month after month after month. Mm-hmm. They were hitting home runs in terms of marketing. So I think there's an attractive piece there where it's like, hey, we need help with this. Can we bring you in-house? And it says that they're going to help out with comms and marketing and that kind of stuff. But like the only value prop in my mind here is essentially like, yes, they can help with OpenAI marketing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's still a good thing. That's still a great thing. But I think in the reality of the situation, we've seen I think I saw like in terms of the, when the news is trending on the X like panel on the right and it's show you how many posts, there were 20,000 posts around. It's the most I've ever seen by a factor of
10,000 or whatever.
Like insane. Like the span of this was just so nuts. So the amount of takes that we were seeing from people who aren't really native to the space or maybe don't have as much information as they should.
Well, I think it's even that is even the action of buying them and getting them all into these publications, making such a huge wave of noise.
Yeah, that's expensive. Like, it's not 150 million paid. Probably what I'm assuming over 4 years in stock and base. But it's probably a couple mil, let alone that attention.
Yeah.
But I think like the future of the space, sort of leading a little bit back into that, is what this does for the ecosystem is absolutely insane. It's a brilliant thing to happen because it's priced an outcome that's relatively achievable for most people coming up in the space right now because it is an emerging market. It's probably going to give everyone a bit of a boost. It's giving everyone more eyeballs. It's giving everyone more attention. As I say, I think now we're going to see venture capitalists maybe step into the realm. We're going to see more people setting up live formats. And off the back of this, I mean, literally today, I mean, Molly O'Shea over at Sorcery announces a partnership with...
This was yesterday.
Yesterday, so Molly O'Shea announces a partnership with the New York Stock Exchange for Sorcery. Congratulate, like Molly is an absolute beast with what she does. Another one of the pioneers for this format. And we're starting to see, I mean, yes, NYC were with TBPN and we can talk about actually them like not having their ad sponsors anymore. But this is starting to be the snowball effect of seeing these independent, small, sort of direct-to-consumer outlets pop up that we're going to see a bunch more of. Like, when we were talking to people about it and we say, like, look at the FT, right, the Financial Times, like traditionally maybe, okay, so go back to the early stages, it's print. Then it goes online. Now we're seeing sort of divisions of, you've got politics, you've got tech, you've got world, you've got, like, culture, you've got... now we're niching down even within this thing. We're going to start seeing specific shows for each one of these narrow verticals. We were saying it right from the start, right? Fashion, it's coming for food, it's already kind of there for sport. It's coming for just random hobbies. But because the cost to do so is so low, you can just look at us. Like, what's our burn? I'm not going to say it publicly, but it's not that much. Compare TBPN's burn. I know they used to talk about this bunch in interviews, but compare their burn to a Bloomberg or a CNBC who, from the conversations that we've had, people at these organizations were saying like, yeah, these guys are a competitor. They're a valid, real competitor and they're getting people that we can't get at a frequency that we can't. And they're also putting up better numbers than us consistently. So
with less headcount, I think that's the main thing.
With less headcount and genuinely it's 1/100th.
It's the full
of the burn, probably less.
Yeah, it's the format, and it's probably but it just again, obviously for us, it makes us very bullish on this because of the ability to pick it up, put it down, offer European. Our product is inherently different, and we can go and make more waves. It's great.
100%. This is this will be noted, I think, as like the day that the floodgates opened.
Yeah.
We will see a lot more pop up. We will start to see venture capital companies funding them, and we will see a few select ones break through, it sort of seems that Sorcery is, not that it's not already up, but like Sorcery is up next. I saw people as well were sort of commenting about like older podcasts around like this new era, but they just don't. The format has to be live. It has to be live. It has to be clipped. It has to be distributed amongst multiple channels. That is what the new format is. You need to be everywhere all at once, all the time, at the point in which the news breaks. You have to be the director of the source.
Indeed, you do. Anyway, big news. That was super interesting. That was.
Sorry as well to forget. Like,
interesting.
Saw this thing from Semaphore. Super quick to mention. Like, we won't bring it up to be honest. I can just mention, but like LinkedIn were trying to buy Beehive. This was not recently. This was like a few. I'm not exactly sure on the actual time, but it was in the past. I think the thing references. But essentially, LinkedIn chatting to Beehive. Can we acquire you? Beehive, I think, also will sit in this sort of not maybe new media, but they sit in this direct to consumer, own your audience, own like the channel in which you can communicate with buyers, with customers.
They're selling the shovels.
Yeah.
They're selling the ability to go and do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, anyway, Base, the infrastructure for the on-chain world. Base is built to empower builders, creators, and people everywhere to build apps, grow businesses, create what they love, and earn on-chain. Go to base.org. Let's move on to story number two.
This was scathing. This was scathing. Ronan Farrow, the New Yorker, this post has been doing the absolute rounds. I don't know why. I think I just quickly, like, somewhat summary of the article, basically positions Sam Altman as a sociopath, as a liar, as full of deception, and yeah. So we're gonna dig into this. I will just say quickly, having like almost finished the Infinity Machine from Sebastian Malaby, it's really funny because at the founding point of these labs, specifically DeepMind and OpenAI, when OpenAI was being founded by Sutskever, Altman, Musk, Brockman, like their narrative being born was like, we are, as it says in the name, we're OpenAI, we're for the people, we're against big corporations. DeepMind was almost like the evil big corp owned by Google, like we were like, we need like a safety board. We need to open up the technology. We're doing this for the good of mankind.
Yeah, I remember open being the narrative.
Yeah, it's like we're terrified of AGI being in the wrong hands. Like this is a potentially world-ending technology. It needs to be in like a safe, trusted space. And like DeepMind is, the evil Nemesis Harvest. Like DeepMind is owned by Google, a big US corp tech. And it was working, like that type of narrative push and marketing was working amongst like people rallying behind OpenAI against DeepMind. But it's just so like ironic to see things play out over the years and how those roles, whether true or not, back in the day with DeepMind, we can maybe we'll touch on that with Sebastian.
Yeah.
But like, look at how the roles have been reversed now. Like when people think of DeepMind, the words that you think of are like scientific and safe and like, like for the people. And then you look at OpenAI and now the sort of narrative's like for profit, like it's a product house, like cutthroat, like people are leaving, people aren't like, there's no
all
trust
these like
there.
lawsuits flying around.
Yeah.
I mean, so Ronan Farrow and Andrew Marantz came out with the article. It was titled "Sam Altman May Control Our Future. Can he be trusted? ? The post is an 11-part thread. Number one goes, for the past year and a half, I've been investigating OpenAI and Sam Altman for New Yorker with my co-author Andrew Marantz. I reviewed never before disclosed internal memos, obtained 200 plus pages of documents related to a close colleague, including extensive private notes, and interviewed more than 100 people. OpenAI was founded on the premises that AI could be the most dangerous invention in human history, and that its CEO would need to be a person of uncommon integrity. We lay out the most detailed account yet of why Altman was ousted out by board members and executives who came to believe he lacked that integrity, and ask, were they right to allege that he couldn't be trusted? A thread on some of our findings. Do we want to go through the thread?
I think so.
Number two. In fall 2023, the OpenAI's chief scientist, Ilya Sutskever, acting at the behest of fellow board members and other concerned colleagues compiled some 70 pages of memos about Altman and his second-in-command, Greg Brockman, Slack messages and HR documents, some photographed on a cell phone to avoid detection of the company's devices. One memo begins with a list. Sam exhibits a consistent pattern of ... The first item is lying. Separately, Dario Amodei, who left to co-found Anthropic, kept years of private notes on Altman and Brockman, more than 200 pages of related documents never before publicly disclosed, have circulated in Silicon Valley. In one document, Amodei writes that Altman's words were almost certainly BS. First takes.
Like, it gets so much worse.
So much worse.
Like, we can maybe like sort of run through it quickly using the images perhaps of the quotes. I'm not sure if does that mess up the stream or with that image share.
If you can add
a little bit.
Okay. Let's not do that.
We'll just go through the wordings. But I mean, just like TLDR on the whole thing. Like, some of the points that come out of this basically paint him as a individual who lies a lot, and it says here to be too much of a conflict avoider is like a fault that he has admitted himself previously. Another board member sort of countered that with like, oh no, that's just you saying that you'll say one thing to someone or you'll avoid addressing like a certain like hard conversation and then just go and do the complete opposite thing behind someone's back because it doesn't really matter. But this was born out of like, I think, so Ronan was deep diving for about a year and a half total time frame working on this particular piece. And now when we see it released, I mean, just quickly scrolling down to the bottom in terms of the impressions it's done, the whole post, the first 2.4 million views, which, by the way, for a news outlet to get via a post on X is not a thing. Like that just, you see like the Wall Street Journal or you see the Financial Times, whenever they put a post out, it's always like...
Yeah, it does a few thousand.
It does a few thousand. And like we can get to why that is as well, because I saw a really interesting post by Nikita Beer about how legacy media houses should be changing the way in which they market their own information on X.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they do a one-liner and then the link to the post.
Yeah,
but links don't work.
But look how good like this one particular is, where it's like this is the structure people should be following now, and we can talk about that. But just
back to the thread.
Quickly going back to the thread. So number 4 here, like, what does this trait look like in practice about, Sam Altman doing all these things? In late 2022, Altman assured the board that features in a forthcoming model had been approved by a safety panel. By member Helen Toner requested documentation. She found that the most controversial features had not, in fact, been approved. In 2023, as the company was preparing to release GPT-4 Turbo, Altman told Marathi that the model didn't need safety approval, citing that the company's general counsel, Jason Kwan, had like looked over it, but Kwan said he was confused about where Altman had gotten the idea. And then a text sort of summary on the post, like, Altman apparently told Marathi that the model didn't need safety approval. And then Kwan's response on Slack when Marathi went to Kwan to discuss this, to quotation marks, ... confused where Sam got that impression. So this is internal. This is at the company, right? So this is like lying to people, C-level individuals, essentially.
Again, the non-profit bit as well. This is the 7th one. OpenAI was established as a non-profit whose board had a duty to prioritize safety and humanity over the company's success or even its survival. The company accepted charitable donations, and some former employees told us that they joined because of assurances about the non-profit and its noble mission, even taking pay cuts to do so. But internal records show that the founders had private doubts about the non-profit structure. As early as 2017, Brockman, Altman's co-founder, wrote in a diary entry, "Cannot say that we are committed to the non-profit. If 3 months later we're doing B Corp, then it was a lie." OpenAI has since recapitalized as a for-profit entity.
I remember seeing these
shots
things
going around.
I remember seeing those in the court filings actually that were released between when Musk and Sam Altman were going head to head. There was court filings released of Sutskever's personal diary.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was around the fact where like he's essentially weighing up what his
private
stock
doubts.
position essentially is, which was again not like an amazing look for the co-founder. Just going through the rest of the article. This is just like, I mean, it's the story right now. out there at the moment.
Elon Musk commented as well. He said,
no. Is it like one word?
Troubling.
Yeah, I knew it would be one word. He is such like an S poster, man. Like he's one of the worst bots on the platform.
Yeah.
He loves the one word. He loves the one, and he gets like 9 million impressions.
No, but I think a one word is okay this time purely because of the fact that
it is fine.
Yeah. Purely because he's literally part of this thing, right?
Yeah. So let's talk
one word
about
says more. It's like a book. It says 1,000 words. That one word.
It does. There are a lot of angles one can take. So let's talk about the approach to the safety commitments that OpenAI has been making. So these were part of like the founding story to the lab. And it's been hard to do. I mean, DeepMind kind of struggled with building a board internally originally. The marriage with Google sort of made that a little bit harder, but it was always like a top premise, like this needs to be in sort of safe, non-bias hands once when we hit the point of AGI, because it's going to be so powerful. Some former OpenAI researchers argue that the company has forfeited its original safety mission and accelerated an industry-wide race to the bottom. The piece details a set of public and internal safety commitments that former researchers say were abandoned. Several safety-related teams at the company have been dissolved. The Future of Life Institute recently gave OpenAI an F on existential safety, alongside every other company except for Anthropic, which got a D, and Google DeepMind, which got a D-. Altman told us he still prioritizes safety and that we still will run safety projects, or at least safety-adjacent projects. We've seen sort of like OpenAI spokespeople like Rune come out and say that I work on this internally, it's incredibly well-funded, we're doing good work. The article is like relatively misleading. It is like a priority internally. This is something we're trying to focus on. And to be fair to their credit, like again, just taking like a learnings from Sebastian's book, it is a hard thing to do, have managed, and also sort of assessed correctly, because it's an emerging technology, because it's brand new. There is no rule book for this type of thing.
Yeah.
Like how do you grade that? It's very hard to do. So naturally, when these labs are competing with speed and time to discovery or time to create, like you are sort of, it's hard to balance the two in a way where you can prioritize safety over everything, but it should be a concern. It should be weighed up properly. This was number 8 out of 11 in the thread. I mean, we can have a look at some more of the posts. The last one here, 9th. In the cutthroat race for AI dominance, these substantive critiques of Altman commingle with no holds barred up his opposition efforts, in which rivals have weaponized his personal life. Intermediaries directly connected to, and in at least one case compensated by, Elon Musk have circulated dozens of pages of salacious and unsubstantiated opposition research reflecting extensive surveillance, shell companies, personal contacts, interviews about a purported sex worker conducted at gay bars. In the course of our reporting, multiple people within rival companies reached out to insinuate to us that Altman sexually pursues minors. Jesus. A narrative persistent in Silicon Valley which appears to be untrue. So this opens up, this is why I think that there should be some slack cut on the team. Like, because of what they're doing, I think a lot of people will be incentivized to attack. Like, they are on a pedestal, they are doing something, and when it's getting competitive, like, people will try to like overstep and like create these sort of narratives. Again, no idea whether any of this is true, but it does invite the possibility that there is an incentive for individuals to drag this individual down, right? When there's like an AGI at the end of the field, or some sort of like cash incentive, or some sort of like competitive edge on a global scale, often referred to as like the Manhattan Project, it's that large. It does invite, like bad actors in the sense where they would be like incentivized to attack for not the sake of...
For their gain.
Yeah, not for the sake of like truth or typical discovery. But this article is just like, it's one of the
most interesting ones to come out fairly recently. It's very scathing.
It's very scathing. And I think the day after, or 2 or 3 days after OpenAI released, they had like a small response to it essentially, but also they announced like a new focus on safety concerns and the area of like safety in the world of AGI and the future of it. But I mean, as we saw in the article, right, like it's not that they're the only ones getting it wrong. Like DeepMind has a D-, Anthropic has a D. Like everyone is losing this safety thing. So I don't think that they should be sort of targeted. And
what's your take? What's your take on? Do you think everybody should be, losing on the safety side, just purely because as you mentioned 5 minutes ago, it is literally the forefront of what's going on, and technological advancements in humanity. You should technically, if you're moving forward, not be doing it as safely, just purely because you're doing new things. Like there isn't any safety protocol created because something like this has never been done before.
Yeah. I flip flop between the two. I used to be more of like an Altman, Musk, or Maxi, where I'm like, they just like, we need to do it the American way, where it's just like all guns blazed, move quick. Having
move fast, break things, blah,
sort
blah,
of
blah.
like looked at Demis as a person a little bit more and understanding his position. One was the one thing. It was after like the Davos, his position
the fireside
Davos,
chat with Dario.
Yeah, that
very interesting.
Like watching the thinking game, just generally, and like understanding him as a bit more of the character. And then, to be honest, after reading that book, like that kind of freaked me out a little bit more about like the future possibilities of what the technology can do.
Yeah,
and how potentially dangerous it can be / like powerful it certainly is.
Yeah.
There are ways in which you could, and it makes me sympathize. Not that like I'm super empathetic with all these guys, but it makes me sympathize a little bit in like the mission that they're on, in the sense that like Demis can sit here and tell Google like this technology shouldn't be used for like means of warfare or like anything to cause harm. Like we're using it for science, for good, blah blah blah. But when you have something that powerful, like humans just will find a way to use it, like to bolster.
Then again, it opens the conversation that we were having 2 weeks ago when all of the lawsuits stuff was happening, and Anthropic had been made I can't remember what category they.
A supply chain risk.
A supply chain risk in the US, and we were saying when a technology gets so good. Where is the line? You don't know, because if you're opening it up to everyone to use however way they want to, people in a situation like the MOD are going to be using it for X, Y, Z, and so it kind of opens that who then calls the shots, right? And it naturally just goes into a political discussion. It's now no longer necessarily about the tech and moving humanity forward. It is how is it specifically being used in a
it's about power.
In a political sense, and therefore
Sebastian brings up a great point in the book where he sort of compares it to the sense where, okay, let's say we get AGI, there should be some sort of board that governs this powerful technology. Everyone can kind of co-own this thing, but it's a small group of sort of non-biased actors who sit in the space, who understand the science, the technology, and also have some sort of like, ethics council around it.
Yeah.
For a potentially world-ending technology, but to do that, it's incredibly hard, because comparatively, like when game theory comes into play, after the atomic bomb was created and dropped, people saw the power of destruction that it is. It is a potentially world-ending technology.
I also think because it's moving so... look, everyone's saying it's moving super quickly, but think about it. Like, it's a drawn-out battle of, like, a few years. When was ChatGPT released? That was, 4 years ago now? And it's like, this is a drawn-out battle of things happening. This isn't like... other kind of world-changing things where, the atomic bomb was done in secret. It's a very public, open thing. And every single day offers a new opportunity for someone to do this wrong or this correctly. And because everyone else can use it, you have things that are bad for the narrative, like Dell, for example. All of the story that came out with Dell last week, that's bad for an AI, for a narrative in AI. But then someone curing their dog's cancer is like good for this and that. And so like there's all these micro examples of good things, bad things happening. They're also at the forefront of what's going on. And it's this really weird dynamic where people can sit at the forefront of building a company, right? You can see like Pulsea, that is the forefront of building a company with AI, but it's it's also a tiny speck in what's going on in the whole entire world. So it's like so many people can be at the forefront, and therefore it's a really weird dynamic. It's not like centralized to some people. Then again,
but that's the post-atomic bomb drop. They were saying that, okay, we need to set up an ethics council and an advisory board to control this technology, in which everyone should opt in, and then we're sort of going to create a way in which, like, this is so powerful it can end the world. So let's all, as a globe, or like a particular amount of countries, let's all sort of like opt in and sit with this technology. However,
but it's also, the atomic bomb was always a negative. It's always like, isn't like this thing can only kill, can only destroy the Earth. Whereas AI can potentially destroy the Earth and humanity.
But that alone means that you have to do this.
Yeah, true.
If it has to, because then instantly it's in the category of world ending.
But I think, yes, but then you also got the flip side of it, which the creation of an atomic bomb does not have the flip side.
Yeah.
It's, there is no necessarily good to come out of it. Whereas like AI can create, prosperous life and opportunities and advancements.
A world of abundance.
Exactly, right?
Narrative, right?
So it's kind of like you have that huge flip side. Yes, you've got the negative side that almost arguably does rule out the positive, but then you also have that positive, which I think actually does create some.
But if it is world ending and the world ends, then none of it matters. Right? So like, there can't be a flip side because it has the potential to end the world. And he says that, yes, you can say that you need to set up these ethics councils and you can say that you need to do all this stuff, but the technology, like the atomic bomb, was so powerful that countries just started building their own secret nuke programs.
Yeah.
That's all happy and dandy on the surface, but like, we're the US and we've got like 50 nukes back there. And like,
like we're happy if we're the most powerful. Yeah.
So that's the whole. So like, you can't. The technology becomes so powerful that, like, yes, everyone can just agree on the surface. I mean, they're not even agreeing on the surface. Everyone's just like, screw you guys. Like, we're gonna get there first. I mean, we can get into this a lot more with Sebastian, which is gonna be really fun. But we thought
it was definitely worth having that debate, that conversation while we were on live. I think we had it before, but. Yeah, we weren't live, which happens a lot to our conversations. Anyway, Framer, build better sites faster. The online platform where enterprise teams design, build, and ship production-ready websites. No dev handoff, no bottlenecks, no creative compromises. Go to framer.org. Framer.com/ETM.
.org. Threw an org in there.
Well, the base is .org, so...
It's base.org?
It is, yeah.
Base, guys. I like that. It's more official. Very nice. We have 4 minutes till our first guest of the day is coming on. Maybe we have time for one more article quickly. Let's talk about the NHS staff boycott on Palantir's data platform. This is another thing that I do want to bring up with Sebastian, because it is also reminiscent of something that happened with DeepMind very early with the NHS. But we can get into that a little bit. So I think we have Max coming in.
I think so.
Max, hey dude, let's go. It's so good to see you. Let me can we bring Max into the...
Are we good? Are we live?
Hold on. We're just bringing you in, Max.
We're just waiting. While we wait, Levi did business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business. Multi-currency accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, all-in-one platform. Go to airwallex.com. Okay, now we've got Max in the studio. How's it going, dude?
Dr. Max.
Hi, guys. Very nice to be on the show again. Very nice to see you. Very good.
Dude. It's so good to see you, man. When was that? So Slush was when we spoke, which was back in...
November.
Wow. 4 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, yeah. Like,
you guys
the whole world changed.
Yeah. I mean, everything changes every month. You guys have been cooking, though. I saw the Raise back in February.
That is correct.
Let's start there. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, we are riding on the wave of this geopolitical crazy new landscape, I would say. Yes, we have seen a lot of interest from investors. Ultimately, to recap, we want to bring critical mineral production back to Europe. We have all the deposits in Europe. Ultimately, we have analyzed the biggest cost driver in critical mineral production and found out that 30 to 70% of the entire capex of critical mineral production is drilling costs in Europe. And so we are actually developing a new type of drilling system that can dramatically reduce those costs. And what we we are developing is a laser-based drilling system that really pretty much vaporizes the rock and creates the rock much, much, much faster without any contact and dramatically less invasive than any other mining technology out there. And so, yeah, we are seeing a lot of interest on the capital markets, and everything is changing every month. I have the feeling as well.
Let's go, dude. Let's go. I'm so pumped for you. We have
not the speed of the AI market, though.
Now that is something that we are struggling to keep up with. And I probably spend about 16 to 17 hours on X a day, which is I'm not happy to admit. You just mentioned something there that I'd love to ask straight off the back. And I know we covered a little bit at Slush, but I'm sure our audience would love to hear more about it now. You mentioned drilling. Why lasers? Why are lasers better than a physical drill?
Because the energy efficiency, ultimately laser is concentrating energy to a much higher degree than any of the other physical principles, and especially much better than any mechanical drill can do it. And with that kind of high energy concentration, you just get this enormous speed in destroying the rock. And comparably to a low energy impact as well, because ultimately drilling, if you create a hole, it's all about the costs. So if the costs of ultimately drilling fast are just too high, it's not justified either. So you really need to keep the balance and really having a good cost input with the energy and the actual speed as well. And with laser, you really have from a physical principle, the perfect balance in ultimately energy input and ultimately speed output that we have here.
Let's go.
Is that a common thing now? People are moving into lasers is the thing, and everyone's kind of discovered it, and that's everyone's mission now, that they're not using any other kind of physical principles to go and drill these things.
I mean, in other drilling companies, probably laser drilling is not yet a thing. I think to really develop a laser drill, this is a very complex engineering challenge that we ultimately have accepted and are now developing here in our offices here in Munich. But it's not an easy thing, right? A deep drill needs to be able to deal with incredibly complex environments like massive pressure, massive heat differences, and very, very hostile environment that you put technology in. And so that's why we have assembled a team that ultimately is used and comes mostly from the space industry as well, and is used to putting technology to really complex environments, and that's what we are bringing to the drilling space now. Nevertheless, laser in other industries also gets bigger and bigger, right? Like laser now is used in most production sites as well. It's always about the pretty much energy impact that you create in order to create holes, to cut something. Laser is taking over everywhere, and now that the power levels of laser have risen by all of these industries that pretty much demand high power lasers, it actually just reached the threshold that you can create these holes for deep drilling as well, or that is pretty much what we are now proving.
And can you talk to us about the whole energy market and what does it look like in 5 years to come, 10 years to come, and what's the problem that you guys are solving, and therefore the opportunity that's out there in terms of what humans, developing AI and all of these other frontier tools, what we're going to run into on an energy perspective?
I mean, if we see it from a European perspective, we are importing 100% of the critical minerals that we consume, which is really a big problem. There are some very rare earth minerals where we are also producing some in Europe as well, but the vast majority, far above 90%, comes from overseas, and even the vast majority comes from China as well. And that is per se not a problem, globalized markets and everything, but if you have geopolitical shocks like the Iran war, like the Ukraine war, that pretty much leads to, of course, supply chains being disrupted. And if you have these disrupted supply chains, you have a risk to production of your factories, for example, if you are a large automotive manufacturer, and that costs millions and millions, actually hundreds of millions of cash. And so now I think a lot of European factories are looking into pretty much building more geopolitical stability and hedging against that risk. And that's why local production is more interesting. The local production will be at higher prices, no doubt about that, but it still needs to compete to some level. You can't be like 20 times more expensive, otherwise the factory can't produce competitively. So it needs to be in a certain band. And in order to make that happen in Europe, you really need to employ the best technology. And again, that's why we are looking into the biggest cost driver, be that being drilling, and then step by step also looking into the other cost drivers.
Sure. Nice. Within that, I think you've previously used the phrasing like vulnerable or vulnerability around like Europe's positioning with this specific area in terms of like the critical minerals. What is the vulnerability here? Like, why does that make us vulnerable? Like, I know there's maybe like what's something that people might not even think of, because I know there's like we're relying on another country. That's just, I guess, bad in general given the whole sovereignty approach that everyone's on at the moment. But what is that vulnerability?
Yeah, I mean, it is, if you are in an extreme scenario, like, again, you are attacked by someone and you need to defend yourself, and you ultimately need to have certain industries who need to keep rolling in order to ultimately being able to defend yourself. And like the defense industry, the energy industry, that always needs to keep the society running, even in a case that you are heavily disrupted, for example, Ukraine, or in this Iran scenario now. And that is indeed currently not the case. We are not very resilient against that shock. And so we are immediately seeing massive price spikes because they directly affect our markets here as well. And we have also very, very rare buffers. We don't have like huge deficits of every single mineral that we need in order to keep producing if these shocks hit us. And that's why they directly affect the prices. You know, normally, like, for example, if you see Japan has a massive policy that they have for every single thing that they need, they have 1 year in a deficit, you know. And if something hits them, if the shock is just 1 year, they dampen it, it doesn't affect the prices, or just very rarely. And so that is not the case here. We are directly seeing this spiking on the prices, and that's why we are so heavily affected. And that means our production, our industry is not competitive anymore in global markets, and that makes us even more vulnerable. It's like a vicious circle. And so no one says that we need to have 100% of production in Europe. No one wants that. But it's all about building that resilience. And the resilience bracket, every other geopolitical power has 20 to 30% domestic production of most of their global goods. And again, we are creeping around 2 to 3%. So we really need to up it by 18, 20%. Yeah.
Is that what sovereignty looks like? Is 18, 20%? What does resilience look like for Hayes specifically? What's the kind of end goal, and where you can kind of step back and be like, yeah, we've done what we set out to do.
Absolutely, supplying these critical minerals, right? Like to actually develop projects and ultimately extract them. So the ultimate end goal here is to really extract those critical minerals, extract the energy that is required for our industry, and deliver it to our industry as well, so it gets more resilient, or even to fill up the deficits if that's required. But that's the main end goal of us. And actually, what we are already doing right now is to explore these kind of projects. So we are very actively looking in a number of very attractive rare earth element projects in Europe that we will probably invest into ourselves and then develop ourselves as well. So by the end of the year, you will see us probably having 1 or 2 projects already, and then over the coming years, actually taking the rare earth elements out. Yeah.
Nice. Now, with that future piece, I guess that there are 2 questions that I was looking forward to chat to you about. One was, I think, again, you've mentioned in the past that unlimited energy is only 10 kilometers away. And I'm assuming referring to like the Earth's core, maybe, or like the mantle, or either or. What,
Science.
What? I did geology at university.
Well, now it comes all back.
Yeah, you got me going here, Max. But you've said the fact that the drilling bottleneck it makes it a $500 million problem. What is what is this quote? Like, where is this unlimited energy, this $500 million price tag? Like, walk us through it.
No, I think it's even bigger, to be honest. Like the critical mineral industry is a $1 trillion industry. The energy industry globally is, of course, $1 trillion industries. And for both of these huge $1 trillion industries, drilling is the biggest capex, right? 30 to 70% of projects in the energy and in the critical mineral space globally is drilling costs. So it's the single biggest technological lever for $1 trillion industries. And this is why we really want to build this kind of industry in Europe up as well, and have a competitive player that can deliver energy projects and mining projects themselves. And so we are really not about doing this for someone else, but we are ultimately doing this to really bring the entire supply chain home, ultimately, with Hades. And the ultimate energy end goal is geothermal energy at 10 kilometers. That's probably the what we were referring to. If you would be able to drill 10 kilometer deep, and it has been done in the Soviet Union in the 80s before, and nearly in Germany. Germany has the second largest hole on the planet. It's 9.3 kilometers deep. But there, of course, physics become very, very complex. And the heat difference at that stage is so big that you would pretty much have the power output of a geothermal power plant that could rival a coal or even a nuclear power plant without any fuel, just by the difference in the heat that you have over that distance. But again, also to be fair, to drill 10 kilometers deep is currently so expensive and nearly physically impossible. But it is absolutely the challenge that we see ourselves going into, and ultimately going for the core in that sense, and really delivering that energy to sustainable needs. Yeah.
That's so awesome. And I guess within this, we're sort of stepping into the realms of the impossible a little bit, and I'm quite enjoying it. With that in mind, I think before you've mentioned in an interview about the 10 to 20 year horizon, off-planet resource extraction. Can we maybe talk about that?
Yes, I mean, we believe this is the future ultimately. It's also a very beautiful, I think, scenario of the future for capitalism, how it can evolve. Ultimately, capitalism needs a place to grow, to expand in order to properly work. Otherwise, it's just resource allocation, which sometimes is, of course, taking from someone and giving to someone else. Mm-hmm. And so ultimately, with space exploration, you have space to expand that doesn't belong to anyone. So it's a very exciting business model to really see a future where you can really, Earth becomes richer by us expanding into space. And that works usually over space mining, because of course you need to extract minerals, you need to extract energy in order to fuel that growth. And that's something that I find very interesting, but it's not a short-term business model. It's not something that now would be a profitable business model, but it is something where you need a number of technologies in order to unlock that. And we at Hades believe that some of the technologies we are developing will contribute to that mission. Yeah.
It's starting to make more sense, right? We're seeing that space in general is having multiple sort of marketing moments, if you will, that are bringing more money, more attention, more focus into it. You can see a world in which all of these sort of hard tech companies kind of, form some sort of conglomerate to make the best use of all of the collective technologies that we apply today, but are sort of in space. It's becoming more and more real, I think, by the day.
Absolutely. And again, I do think that's a beautiful way of seeing all of our economies thrive, because this will also help Earth get richer without distributing someone else's resources. It's expanding, everyone gets wealthier, which is really, I think, what Earth needs at the moment. Currently, it's all about taking from someone and giving it to someone. That's not nice. Yeah.
No, absolutely. We concur. Let's talk a little bit more about Hades. You guys own the full stack, so it's not just sort of like drills and lasers. It's the whole way. It's end to end. Can you maybe walk us through what is the full expansion of Hades mining?
Full expansion would be that we are pretty much looking a little bit like a venture fund, actually, with a number of projects that we have invested into, where we pretty much invested into with our drilling technology, have created the holes and ultimately kicked off the extraction projects as well. And all of these, they will produce then commodities ultimately. They will produce the critical minerals that are needed and that are currently on the European Union critical mineral list as well. And of course, some energy projects as well, like a geothermal project, for example, that produces energy at the same logic. And the unlocking key is always the drill, but there will be more automation. There will be much more software and pretty much software automation in the process, because otherwise the company becomes very complex. If you have a number of these very, very big projects, you need to have an enormous amount in software and automation to make that happen, to scale. So you can really have 15, 20, and 30 projects going at the same time. And that's also probably what we are going to see for the future for ourselves, to really expand into that automation area even more, but always based on the drilling, because drilling is the lowest common denominator in this extraction industry. That's where we really invest the vast majority of our effort in order to get our stake in those trillion-dollar markets.
Yeah. So you guys are making kind of small, large bets into multiple different things. I guess fundamentally, as a founder, CEO of a company doing something like this, do you find that is more prevalent today than it was maybe 10 years ago building a company? I feel like kind of almost like niche micro M&A type stuff / making small venture bets into different things because there's so much going on is becoming more prevalent. Do you see that too?
I see this moving into the private space is, I think, the biggest unlocking factor, because in the past, usually these kind of projects would have individually always been listed companies and to raise the capital to really keep them running. And now this capital has moved into the private space. This happened for startups in the last 30 years. And that's our prediction. This is also going to happen with resource projects. So more and more venture capital funds and private equity funds are going to invest privately in these kind of projects. And that's going to help allocate the capital to really drive that forward. And that change is what is going to drive, hopefully, a massive growth in that. And most importantly as well, it needs founders who do found these kind of projects. So when you think of your next startup, don't found like the 50,000 software as a service AI company. Try founding like a local energy company. Try founding a local critical mineral company. Go to your local archives. They have drill cores there. You can see what the geology is. You see what you can found there. And then you make that a project. And then we help you drill it and access it so you become investable. That's how the future should look like.
I love This is a call out to all you hard tech founders who don't know the hard tech.
Don't go and build B2B SaaS.
Put the AI note takers in the bin, tear them up, throw them away.
That's hilarious.
Max, thank you so much for coming on with us, man. We always have a good time with you. It's so good to see you since Slush as well. It sounds like you guys are killing it. Let us know when you guys are IPOing and you come back on.
Absolutely, can't wait. Looking forward to that. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Good
Cheers,
stuff.
Max. Good to see you. Cheers, dude. Have a good one.
Awesome stuff. We have a next guest in the studio.
We got Ted in the house.
The infrastructure for the on-chain world. Base is built to empower builders, creators, people everywhere to build apps, grow businesses, create what they love, and then on-chain. Go to base.org. I believe we have Ted in the studio now.
Partner at EQT Ventures coming onto the show. Ted, how are we? Doing very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the European Technology Network. Great to have you.
Thank you for having me. That was an energy burst about drilling there. Got to kind of get to that energy level.
Yeah. We were kind of crescendoing into that moment, I think. And I love the call out from Max. We were discussing all sorts. Sort of extraterrestrial mineral extraction, laser drilling, Hades mining seems to be some cool work in that realm.
Stuff.
But I guess in similarity, some very sort of like parallel technologies that we'd love to get into with you. I guess maybe to start, because this is the first time on the show, maybe if you introduce yourself, who you are, what is EQT, for those who don't know at home, and then maybe we can get into it.
Sure. Ted, been with EQT for 11 years, so part of the team setting up the venture side of things. But EQT had already existed for quite some years before that, spin out from the family office of the Wallenberg family, who's one of the industrial families of the Nordics, Ericsson, AstraZeneca, ABB, and stuff like that. And then pretty quickly on my journey at EQT, I kind of moved into the deep tech path. So 9 years ago, something like that. So now I'm heading up that side of things. And EQT is now 2,000 people, one of the biggest private investors in the world. And we, on the venture side of things, we're kind of like the kids table of this big platform.
That's nuts. I did not know you guys were 2,000 people.
That's nuts.
2,200 of today. I noticed. So it's a beast in its own right.
It really is.
So awesome. Doing God's work for Europe there. Let's get into it. So maybe about StarCloud a little bit. This is something that we've covered on the show multiple times. Recently, the Series A. It's a huge moment for Philip and the team, who also recently proposed. So congratulations to Philip if he's watching. Congrats on the proposal.
Posted a beautiful video on LinkedIn. I got like one picture, but then I saw this beautiful production.
I saw
I wish I would have been that smart. I took one picture.
Dude, the proposal itself, I know we're getting a bit sidetracked, but the proposal itself was incredible. Did you see what he did? He wrote it on What, he wrote it on like a data center that flew over them when they were in Mexico? Like,
yeah, it's like some Matrix time spinning. Like stuff. It's like the production grade. That's the
yeah. A lot of people were coming in like, I'm so glad I'm like already married just because I will never hit that bar. Like the bar's been pushed too high.
Have to do it again.
And that was the time we had. We had time to discuss Philip's proposal. Moving on to the next one.
Next one. So EQT, you are invested in StarCloud. Why did EQT invest in StarCloud?
Why did we invest in StarCloud? I think firstly, it's the start of something new and a team of incredible people building in this new field. And obviously, extraterrestrial data centers has been kind of like a theme for quite some time, but very good for Philip and their team. On the week of their fundraise, when everything was kind of heating up, Elon Musk announced the merger of XAI and SpaceX. So I think it caught kind of like the general attention of people somewhere there. And I guess that's it. Amazing people building in a new and exciting space that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And it's been like the whole data centers in space discussion has been, for many people who sit in the space, it seems somewhat obvious, right? Like there has to be somewhere we can put these things. Maybe space is the way to go. But like
we tried everywhere. The only place left is space.
It's space. But it seems to be getting less and less stick as we sort of go on. We were just mentioning to Max then that space is getting some really good marketing recently, right? We saw the Artemis launch. This is now being broadcasted live everywhere. People like it's starting to become a lot more mainstream to
SpaceX IPO.
Yeah, SpaceX IPO. Like it's becoming mainstream to talk about these things that maybe 10 years ago would seem impossible. Now you don't really get looked down upon. Like, are you seeing that kind of shift as well?
No, totally. It feels like it's one of those spaces that are experiencing a lot of tailwind. I just had a call with Helene Ibi and Jenny Dreyer of the exploration company just like 10 minutes ago, and it's night and day. It's like we backed that company was like three years ago. Then it felt like one of those someday maybe type businesses building like a SpaceX in Europe. Same thing there, like just the momentum in the field generally speaking, but also specifically for StarCloud and the exploration company. And I think it's a lot of different streams. It's like a couple of technology streams. It's the geopolitical new reality. A lot of things just kind of coalescing into this tailwind for the whole space.
Yeah, which is awesome. I mean, let's talk about then. So like opportunities in extraterrestrial infrastructure. This is obviously one of them. Can we maybe hear a little bit more about this realm?
Absolutely. So StarCloud was the first team that put compute in space for real with an H100 or a cluster of H100s in November last year, and that was I don't know exactly how many months, but pretty short after graduating from YC. And I think one of the reasons why we really kind of fell in love with this team was their bias for speed. It's like it's the same thing in the deal process, like from doing the deal to closing. I think Philip was like reminding me, hey, next step, like every second. Usually it's just like someone else takes care of it, but it's like just the bias for speed, and I think that's one proof point that they got something up so quickly. And now Jensen on stage, was it 2 weeks ago, also discussing space, showing kind of StarCloud's launch and so forth. So I mean, I believe that there will be a lot of contenders moving in this direction after it becomes kind of obvious that this is the next step. But I think that they are really well positioned to be the front runner, based on the speed, based on now like I read somewhere that they were the fastest company to get to unicorn status after coming out of Y Combinator ever. Wow. So racing this very respectable round this quickly, and then just continuing on that trajectory.
Can you talk us about the the importance of keeping momentum in a company like this, where you are building frontier technology? It's hard in terms of as we were talking with our previous guest. It's not just B2B SaaS where you're kind of shipping things every day. It's a really hard thing, and keeping momentum up. And can you talk to us a little bit about that? And as a founder, keeping that in with your investors, with customers, with the narrative around the company and everything else.
I mean, being a founder of a deep tech company is obviously way more complex than being a founder of a software company. If you're managing a software company, it's yourself, it's your equity investor, and it's your customer, basically, and then you have to hire. But if you're managing a deep tech company, there might be technologies where the IP was spun out of. There might be off-takers, there might be supply partners, there might be grant. It's like just a way more complex world. And on top of that, I think it was less hot. And I think it just came from this being kind of felt a bit like coming from the old industrial wave. So the way we looked at deep tech, 10 years ago, was that it was kind of like two archetypes. You had the software founder who were moving fast and breaking things, and then you had the deep tech founder who in many cases were maybe a bit older, more experienced, but in many cases also were people coming at it from the domain expertise or technology side of things. Might be the PhD or the inventor themselves. Looking at it now, I think the two worlds have merged, and you see the same speed, but also the same competition in deep tech as in software. Which same thing there is like a lot of different reasons, but now the most recent kind of crunch on software has made it so that everyone is kind of building in that space, or it feels like an interesting next big thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems to be like some sort of renaissance is the word that's typically used, I guess, of this. Like, I remember seeing an interview, I think it was with Sean Maguire at Sequoia, where he mentions that, like sort of at the start of his career, everyone was investing in like hardware and hard tech. Like, I guess, well, not even his career, but like the whole status of like the venture industry as a whole. At the start of his career, like at the start of the venture play, everyone was investing in hard tech and hardware. And then we have this sort of like software generation, and now things are just spinning back to hardware and science. And like, I don't know, I for one think that's a really cool, amazing thing, because it seems to be when it's like progress is made,
I agree. And there's this amazing blog post that the reaction wheel that I keep coming back to, which is about venture capital in the 90s, where there's like a segment diagram with all the cool things that VCs were backing before the internet. And it was biotech, it was space, and like ASICs, like basically where venture capital comes from with like semiconductors, Silicon Valley. And then the internet just got such great traction. So all these segments kind of like became dwarfed by this segment that was the internet. And I remember when we started working on the first structured deep tech strategy at EQT Ventures, must have been 7-8 years ago. That year was, don't remember exactly when it was, but it was like the highest rate of technology funding, but it was also the lowest point of foundational research funding. So it's kind of like, it felt like everyone just went all in on the web, but now we're coming to the end of Moore's law, and AI is happening. So it just feels like this bouquet is opening up again with so many interesting opportunities. So back to science fiction and believing in the future, which I think is amazing.
No, definitely. And like, I guess your position at EQT means that you guys get literally a front row seat into investing in, the opportunity for investing in the next, big company to come out of kind of hard tech and really pushing the humanity forward is so there right now, which is really exciting. I assume.
You said it. But I think it's like it's a very cool time to be a technology investor, and especially in deep tech. And if you take EQT, like again, 2,000 people and investing into infrastructure and private equity and all sorts of things, everyone within the firm are super excited about what's happening on the early stage tech side right now. And because of that, everyone wants to partner up. So it's kind of cool, like taking what EQT has built, being in kind of traditional industrial investor and just connecting the dots with what's going on the early stage side of things. So I hope there is not a new thing coming after AI and deep tech that distracts people's attention. Let's keep it the way it is now.
You guys are, you're winning at what it currently is. I mean, with those new things, let's talk a little bit. I mean, it's within hard tech, but if we can, I'd love to touch on 1X and like the humanoid robotics type stuff. Like, what is the opportunity here in robotics? Like, what are people not seeing here? Because I know now it's starting to trend, but it's only trending in like, the tech niche that we all kind of sit in this little bubble.
Yeah. I think it's the same thing. Like, the idea of, it's kind of like, it feels like it's built into us somehow that we're trying to build ourselves. We're building chatbots that are partly us, like experimenting with voice interfaces and robots. We're building ourselves. I don't know if that's kind of built in somehow. And what can this lead to? I mean, when you start making the calculations, it's ridiculous. I mean, this could become the biggest thing ever, obviously. But I think the question is how far away are we, or how close are we? And referencing self-driving cars, because it's like roughly the same type of technology challenge. One thing that and our attraction around 1X is like they grew up in Norway, which is next doors to us. I'm based in Stockholm, and then getting the attention of people like OpenAI invested and stuff like that. And then you have to check it out, and then you realize, wait a minute, this is a company that has built the hardware side of things for almost 10 years, and now all of a sudden they're managing to track the best in the industry out of the US. So of course we should back them. But what I think, like just zooming out a bit, and of course you have Figure and you have Tesla with Optimus and you have 1X and a couple of others, but you also have a lot of companies in the physical AI space on the software side of things. I believe that soon people will realize that data is where it starts and where it ends. You need access to the data, and without hardware, you can't get the data. Sure, you can form various types of partnerships, but all the hardware vendors, they want to build their own AI. So if you're a software company only focusing on software, you'll have trouble breaking into the data, the real use cases. And that is where I think a company like 1X is extremely well positioned.
Yeah, I think when they did the kind of first launch of, internal launch almost, that was like really interesting, because that was what they were gaining, right? Was the people that were that had the robots, maybe that was like the data within the home, all of that kind of stuff, like understanding how this technology is actually going to work, how humans are going to be using it, and everything else in between. But anyway, we have run out of time. We have our next guest coming in. Thank you so much for spending the time. It's been really interesting.
Yeah, cheers, Ted.
Likewise. I like your conveyor belt approach. New guest.
Yeah, it's pretty quick over here.
Beautiful. Keep it up. Thank you for letting me come and say hi.
No, thanks, Ted. Welcome back anytime.
We'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Ciao. Good stuff. What a legend. We have our next guest on, but before that, leave our daily business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business. Go to airwallex.com. Next on the show, we have Matt at Take.
CEO and co-founder.
He was in.
Let me just.
He tried to come in a few times. Let me just make sure that we're good. Do you want to?
Yeah, Take is on a mission to make chess the next big spectator sport. Co-founded by 5x world champion Magnus Carlsen, as well as Mats Andre Christiansen. The platform has reached 5 million people a month with chess content and is now building tools where every player gets AI coaching comparable to Magnus. The company has 3 million in funding from elite investors, including Peter Thiel, Jim Breyer. Peter Thiel, I did not know he was on the cap table.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Breyer and Breakthrough Initiatives. This is going to be such a fun one. I am super pumped.
This is going to be good. Matt, can you hear us? I think you're in.
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Dude, welcome to the show. How are we? Welcome to European Central Network. I have so many questions to go off. First of all, I'll just start by saying that I am a chess fan. I watch chess streamers all the time. Like every single night before I go to bed, I watch Eric Rosen, international master, do playthroughs quite literally every night. The amount of hours I put into that, one would think that I'd be good at chess. I suck. It's taken me about a year to cross 1,000 elo. So just saying that before we get into things, fan of the space, dreadful at the game. But I've been really pumped to have you on. I guess like first question, do you maybe just want to introduce yourself and take where are we at today? What are the highlights and just for the viewers at home, and then we can get into it.
Sure. I'm Mats. I'm based out of Oslo. I started another company before this, Oda, which is an online grocery company here in the Nordics. And I was the CMO for 10 years. I come from marketing, growth, brand building, but also my entire life I've spent building digital consumer products. So I love creating products that ultimately kind of end up in the hands of consumers and trying to create a very good experience. I'm also quite a bad chess player. I'm around 1,500. Some people are impressed by that number, but in the office here, I'm literally one of the worst. But I mean, I'm at a level where you can beat your friends usually, right?
Yeah.
And you sort of have a little bit of more understanding of chess. I started playing chess when I was around 25. It was the year that Magnus Carlsen became world champion for the first time. I think chess exploded in Norway at that time. And I've been struggling since. I've been climbing the rating ladder and trying to become better. And we had a very good chess culture in the offices of Oda. We played chess sort of in the breaks, during lunch, in the afternoons. And I started also consuming a lot of content on YouTube and trying to become better. And after 10 years at Oda, I took a little bit of a break, and I was approached by Magnus Carlsen's team, where they were about to start a new venture and were looking for a CEO. And they knew that I was into chess, and I had this background of building products and starting companies. And Oda was actually Norway's first unicorn, so it was quite a successful venture as well. And I thought, wow, what an incredible opportunity. First of all, I'm really interested in chess. And then if you start a chess company with the world's best chess player and ultimately the biggest chess brand as your co-founder, I would most likely regret not kind of jumping on that opportunity. But it was one of my first coffee chats after Oda. So I was actually thinking a little bit about it. Like, I've only sort of exited the door, and I was planning to take a little bit of time. And there's so many things happening on the sort of the technology side with AI and everything. So, but ultimately I decided that this is too cool of an opportunity to say no. And,
hell yeah.
I started soon after.
I love it.
So
I love it.
cool.
And we read the Reuters article that came out, I think it was yesterday, about everything that you guys are building, but maybe worth talking to us about this new push into learning and because you guys were just a content first platform, now pushing into more learning stuff. What's the thesis behind it? What do you guys see? Let's go from there.
Yeah, sure. No, so I mean, this is a startup show, right? I'm sure that the most, like, the topics here are building companies. And I think to be able to build a company, you need to build an attractive product that can attract hundreds of thousands of users. Ultimately, if you're in the B2C and you're a freemium model that we were and are going to be. And then you need to find that product market fit and build that niche. And what we did initially was to go into the chess market. Originally, the idea that was pitched to me back in 2023 was a fantasy chess game, similar to the Premier League fantasy game, where you can build a team of chess players and you could have this fun sort of meta layer on top of chess. And my honest kind of pushback to Magnus and his team was that there's barely 10,000 people watching a chess tournament. I doubt we could build like a really great venture of a pure fantasy game. Maybe in 5 years when we get more people excited about watching chess, but we should start with building out a better infrastructure and a platform for consuming chess, and chess not like educational content, but professional chess. So we rebranded from fantasy chess to Take. We launched an app where you could follow your favorite players, get a push notification when they play, kind of jump into their game, and we had people around the world writing like text-based commentary on top of the moves so that you could understand the idea, because
that's
chess
so
is
cool.
really hard, right? It's really hard to understand when Magnus has been thinking for 17 minutes what his idea is behind that move. But we could visualize that with arrows and graphs and text. So it was a more accessible way of following the top games. But what we saw, we launched this for the World Championship in 2024 between Gukesh and Ding, and we had immediately we had several hundred thousands of downloads, and we were the #1 stream on YouTube, and we saw okay, we're coming into this with fresh eyes, and this is going to be really successful. But we realized fairly quickly that there's only one World Championship every year, and there aren't many great tournaments between the World Championships. They're quite average. They have a hard fan base of maybe 20,000 people following them, but that's it. And we tried a lot of different things, but ultimately we found that the tournaments we're limited by the popularity of the tournament. There's nothing that we can do in the product to grow this beyond the tournaments. And that's when we had a chat with chess.com, which is the biggest chess site online. They have 250 million users, and they basically chess, right, for many people. And they had this weekly tournament that is called Title Tuesday, and we thought that this is a great tournament with all the best players in the world streaming on Twitch, but there's no accessible broadcast product put on top of it. And that we are very good at creating a broadcast product, and we have this app with all this engagement, and that would at least solve sort of the weekly cadence with the users. We at least had this weekly show that we could put on, and we could create products on top of that. And so we did that with chess.com, but then that partnership didn't go the way that we wanted in the right direction. So ultimately we figured, you know what, we need to build a play zone. We need to go into learning. That's what everyone wants to do. And I've been struggling myself, becoming better at chess. So we started thinking that we could build a chess platform that was fundamentally thought as an improvement platform for players like you and myself. So that's what we launched yesterday, a full chess platform for improvers. You can think of almost Strava for chess, where it's more social. You have these coaching features. It's a fun place to be for chess people. The conflict that sort of was highlighted in the Reuters article yesterday is that Magnus Carlsen is also an ambassador of chess.com. So he's the co-founder of one company, and he's the ambassador for the other one. And that ultimately has led to Magnus having to step back from Take and kind of fulfill his agreement with chess.com. So we are not using Magnus in promotional material. I'm in his office. It's empty right now. We have to sort of build a great product, and unfortunately we can't sort of leverage the Magnus effect right now.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense, dude. And it's good to stress that. But what a cool business. It's so nice to see, I guess your world's married as well, right? Like a consumer product into something that now you care about, you play yourself, you get to work with Magnus. We're unfortunately out of time, which is so annoying because I had a couple more questions, but we'll have to do this again. Next time you guys have an update, please hit us up and come back on. It's been awesome to meet you properly.
Sure, nice to meet you. Have a good day.
Congrats on the launch.
We'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Awesome stuff. We have our next guest on, but quickly, the infrastructure for the on-chain world base is built to empower builders, creators, and people everywhere to build apps, grow businesses, create what they love, and earn on-chain. Go to base.org. Next on the show, we have the GOAT, Sebastian Mallaby, author of The Infinity Machine. Sebastian, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Sebastian, welcome to the show.
Yeah, great to be with you.
Holding up my copy of The Infinity Machine. Sebastian, I must be honest, I am only 260 pages in.
It's a good down payment.
Through it. Yeah, and I've been enjoying it thoroughly, but as you saw on X, I only realized over the weekend that I'm actually a big fan of yours with my 2 copies here of The Power Law and also More Money Than God. So thank you for joining us. We're really looking forward to the conversation today.
Sure, great.
Let's dig into it. My first question for you, Sebastian, is, and it's a bit of a broad one, But after 4 years of being around Demis, what type of a man is Demis Hassabis?
So I'm shocking some of my readers by pronouncing a technology leader to be a good guy. This meets with incredulity in some quarters. But I did kick the tires on this. I spent more than 30 hours talking to Demis, and I also spoke to 100 people around him. And I also ran into random kind of people who, had no reason. Demis had no reason to think that they would talk to me, but they kind of had kids in the same school and stuff like that. So I do feel I know Demis very closely and deeply, and he's got a lot of ego. He's sort of messianic. He wants to be the person who brings artificial intelligence to humanity, but he's basically got very good values. He stayed in Britain because he thinks that there's too much inequality and general fake it till you make it in America. He, unlike some tech titans we could mention, where you can't count the number of children they have, he got married to his college sweetheart, and they have 2 kids, and they're still married. I mean, he's a very relatable, normal guy with good values in this extraordinary, powerful position of, shepherding AI into the world.
Yeah. You see those elements of his character shine through, especially in the earlier days, which you cover in the book. There was a specific book of his, the Gödel Escher book that's referenced in your book multiple times as like a form of inspiration for Demis and a number of other things. But I wanted to ask, why do you think he drew so much inspiration from that book in particular?
I mean, the central idea, which I think he latched onto in Gödel Escher is that in some sense, the human brain is like a computer. There are, synapses that send signals, and you either have a positive signal or a negative signal, like a 1 or a 0 in computer code. And so, what the human brain is capable of doing, in theory, and Demis thought this back in the 90s, 15 years before AI could do anything, pretty much. He believed that what the human brain could do, a computer could do. And that was what gave him the confidence and the faith to say that he was going to be devoting his career to building AI, super, super early, right? I mean, he was thinking this in the mid-90s. He founded DeepMind in 2010. Sam Altman and Elon Musk don't do OpenAI until 2015. So, Demis really was the first person on this.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I guess we've spoken about OpenAI today on the show. We can get into that a little bit later. There was a piece that went out yesterday by the New Yorker that I'd love to get your opinion on, but specifically around the narrative around the founding of OpenAI. Yes, it came later on, but what was really interesting to me to see that really came to light in the book was the narrative that OpenAI used to sort of as a marketing funnel, really, for talent, for support, in the sense where DeepMind was almost framed as a evil entity. It was big tech. It was owned by Google. There was, after the whole partnership with the NHS kind of fell through with Suleiman, there was some negative connotations attached to how that played out. But OpenAI was open. It was safe. It was, a multitude of these sort of looked up to figures were kind of controlling this openly. But sort of paradoxically now, when we sort of look at what's happening against both entities now, it's quite shocking to me to see DeepMind looked down upon as evil and OpenAI looked on as safe. Can you maybe just talk to us a little bit about that time with Demis when this narrative was getting pushed and what your take is, I guess, looking at it now currently?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're exactly right. It is ironic, given what we're reading in the New Yorker now. And also just the general narrative about Sam Altman that's been around for a few years. If you were going to Silicon Valley regularly, you heard all this stuff, that he's totally untrustworthy, he lies, he's probably a sociopath. I mean, these kinds of things were floating around anyway. And Demis is really none of those things. And so it's ironic that the OpenAI camp set themselves up as being more virtuous than DeepMind, just as you say, back when they founded in 2015. I mean, the background there was that when Demis Hassabis sold DeepMind to Google in 2014, he cared sincerely about safety, and so he made it a condition that if Google was going to buy the company, it would have to promise to have a safety and ethics oversight board making sure that AI would be deployed in a responsible fashion. It would just be up to the corporate board of Google. And in fact, Demis believed in this so sincerely that Facebook offered him more money to sell to Facebook, and he turned them down because they were not serious about safety. He also, by the way, turned Elon Musk down. Musk wanted to buy him, and he refused to sell DeepMind to Musk, and that really made Musk very angry. And so what happened after the Google acquisition was that, to make good on this plan to have a safety and ethics oversight board, they got together a bunch of influential people, and in fact, they got Elon Musk into this, and he hosted the first safety and ethics oversight meeting. It's all secret, but it's all in my book. And Musk used that meeting essentially to listen to the plans of DeepMind and then launch OpenAI as a competitor together with Sam Altman. So he basically, said he was an honorable advisor to DeepMind, then double-crossed them and did his own thing, which again makes it ironic that he was positioning OpenAI as being more virtuous. But really, I think what we see in all this is that, when you're confronted with a technology as powerful and as exciting as AI, every single major ego in tech is going to want to be part of it. And, Sam Altman and Elon were among those. And so they set up OpenAI because they were just jealous of Demis Hassabis and his leadership.
I wanted to go a little bit deeper on that and get your perspective on where do you see kind of the safety of AI now, and is kind of AI in safe hands generally, do you feel? I just want to understand your kind of broad perspective on that, given what what we were just talking about.
Sure. Look, I think there are two classes of things which go wrong in the world, right? One is where you have a bad individual who's either stupid or unethical. Sure. And makes a bad decision. And you can say, hey, if we switched out this person and put in a different person, the world would have been better. Yeah. But then you've got other kinds of problem, which are not about bad individuals. It's just about bad dynamics, which are bigger than the individual. And I think the point is that, someone like Demis Hassabis is a good person, but he's stuck in a vicious race for AGI.
Yeah.
And because of that race dynamic, he may believe in safety. But he can't do much about it, because if he makes his own lab respect all kinds of restraints and then, Sam Altman doesn't, it's not making the world any better. And you saw this very clearly with that fight between Anthropic and the Pentagon just about a month ago, where Anthropic said to the Pentagon, we don't want you to use Claude to either do mass surveillance of American citizens or conduct, control autonomous lethal weapons. And so Dari Amadei, the head of Anthropic, was trying to make a principled stand, but what happened was that immediately Sam Altman showed up and said to the Pentagon, whatever you want to do with my tech is fine, and I'll give it to you. And, you don't need to listen to this sort of do-gooder over there at Anthropic. So the race dynamic makes it impossible for individual lab leaders to govern AI. All they can do is try to build useful tech, and particularly I think with DeepMind and Demis Hassabis, what he's done and what he's rightly proud of is do AI for biology. And that's what won him the Nobel Prize. He's created the system AlphaFold, which is going to make it much faster to build new medicines. And I think, hopefully this AI debate right now, if you poll Americans, 2 out of 3 say that they find AI to be threatening, not an opportunity. If Demis can turn this around by delivering drugs that save people's lives in the next few years, maybe we have a shot at having society accept AI.
Yeah. So on that then, do you feel that the narrative behind AI is for the most part quite negative now, and you're optimistic in the future that it will change, do you think?
Yeah, I think one thing that needs to change in order for AI to be accepted into the world is we need a different team in Washington, frankly. I mean, the Trump administration is just completely not interested in any sort of AI governance, and indeed just wants to accelerate crazily. And as long as that's happening, it's impossible to imagine AI being safe, and therefore it's very hard to see society accepting it. I went to China for 8 days in March because my book was rolled out there first. Chinese are always faster at everything. And what surprised me in China was that they are actually talking about safety. Both the scientists at the top AI labs and also the CEOs of tech firms are talking about safety. So it's possible to engage China in some sort of nuclear non-proliferation treaty where I think you'd have to control open source. You wouldn't want very powerful AI to fall into the hands of bad actors who might use it for massive cyber attacks or bioweapons. And so I think, right now it's very scary because we don't have political leadership in Washington, D.C. We don't yet have those medicines that may come out of the Demis Hassabis pipeline. What we do have is simply characters like Sam Altman who are pretty unscrupulous. But I think, the story of Demis Hassabis shows that you can have an AI leader who is good. And so, maybe humanity will unite around the good people and we'll get to a better place in a few years.
Yeah, that's sort of joined on to that. People can decide whether this is good or bad. I think that most people would maybe agree that it would be bad, but there's a point in the book in which Musk is speaking with Larry Page, and this comment in particular was sort of went pretty viral back in the day when it came out. But the word speciesist is used, and it was the first time. It was the first time that I've ever heard the word before. Is that something that people should be thinking about, in the sense, like, be prepared for, in a way where, like, there are maybe individuals who are interested in the technology, have the power to push it forward and the capital and the influence, who are maybe not concerned with the human race, but more concerned with just driving technology forward. If that means that it surpasses the human race, then this is the natural thing that was meant to happen. Is that maybe somewhat worrying?
Yeah, it is. I mean, that is what Larry Page seems to believe, that, what we should care about in evolution is the survival of intelligence, and it happens to be a silicon intelligence, not a biological one. Larry Page is cool with that. And hard to know with Larry Page. Is such a weird dude that, sometimes you can't tell if he's, saying something to be provocative but I think he just kind of follows he's very smart, so he follows the logic of his ideas in a kind of almost sort of pathological, cold way. And he doesn't seem to worry that flesh and blood intelligence might be surpassed and even eliminated. And I think that's what drove Elon Musk, crazy when he heard it, and it prompted a falling out between Elon Musk and Larry Page. But the people who build these systems, particularly those who came on board very, very early when AI seemed to be almost impossible to imagine working, they're all unusual in some way. Demis is unusual too. Grew up kind of as an autodidact, teaching himself everything, total chess genius, coding genius, gets into Cambridge at 16, turns down more than $1 million in today's money because he, when he's 18, because he wants to go and study at Cambridge, not do more coding. I mean, super, super self-driven and unusual, but, fortunately, somehow good. Others are very, very unusual and not necessarily good. And so it is a bit of a scary equation.
Such an interesting part of it. There was something specific. I mean, this is kind of just completely context switching, that I didn't know about, and this has done the rounds a little bit recently. But the secret hedge fund at DeepMind was a surprise to me. How far did I mean, it's mentioned in the book briefly, but how far did your conversations with Demis span about this? I'd love to learn more about that particular part.
Well, this is something that Demis, never told me, but others around him told me. And then when I told him I knew this, he kind of, acknowledged it, but he was not very keen to elaborate. But I think, what's clear to me, because I actually felt this personally, when I first met Demis, it was at tech conferences in Europe. He would show up and give a talk, and, sometimes I'd have a chance to say hi to him. And the way I tried to get on his radar is that I had written More Money Than God. And I do know people at Renaissance Technologies and other quant funds, including, one person who was the first PhD student of Geoffrey Hinton, the father of deep learning. And this person, went from very early AI in the 1980s to Renaissance Technologies, built the first successful quant fund. And I knew Demis would know that because everybody in the AI world knows who Jeff Hinton's students are. And so I mentioned my friend to Demis, and he seemed very intrigued to hear more about this guy from Renaissance Technologies. And so I knew, I could just see his eyes lighting up. So I figured he was curious about quant trading. And then later on, other people at DeepMind told me about this secret effort they had to build a trading operation.
That's great.
That's so funny. We're nearing the end, but I'd love to ask one sort of broader question, more around the relationship with Google. In the book, it starts off incredibly well. It's the obvious choice. There's capital there. It can fuel the science behind everything. And we know Demis isn't driven by financial incentives. But, it then comes across this sort of rocky position somewhere mid through. Like, could you maybe walk through what the marriage with Google looked like and, I guess, the lifespan of that?
Yeah, well, as you say, although some people in London say it's terrible that the British company DeepMind sold out to an American parent too early, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's really all nonsense in my view. I mean, you needed to get a backer who was going to pour in almost $1 billion a year for like a decade at least before you were going to get a product. And, I view Google's investment in DeepMind as a British triumph because it attracted American capital into British R&D, a lot of capital. So, that's how Demis saw it too. He was very happy to have Google as a parent. It was basically a good relationship. But then, that safety and ethics commission I was talking about with Elon Musk involved failed because Elon basically, used it to be a cow inside the tent. And then Google said, the heck with these oversight boards, we really don't want more people coming in and discovering our plans. And they closed it down. And Demis cared enough about the safety aspect that he engaged in with this 3-year secret fight, a project called Project Mario internally. And they and Demis and his co-founder Mustafa Suleyman tried to force Google to do, a new independent safety board. And they also raised an offer of $1 billion from Reid Hoffman, the LinkedIn founder, to finance a DeepMind spin-out. So they had a credible threat to Google. Look, if you don't give us our safety board, we might just quit. So this was a fight that went on for 3 years. It became quite bitter. In the end, partly because of this, I think, Mustafa Suleyman used up all his political capital within DeepMind and got pushed out by Demis. There was more to that story than just this strand, but this was one of the strands. And so that was kind of a low point, I'd say, in the relationship between Google and DeepMind, circa 2018, 2019, when they're fighting over safety. But then in the last period, it goes right again. And in particular, after ChatGPT dropped in November 2022, Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Alphabet and Google, says, right, we need to merge Google Brain and Mountain View with DeepMind, and we're going to put Demis Hassabis in charge of both. Yeah. And then you kind of enter a golden age because Demis essentially becomes more integrated into Google. He runs the entire AI engine on which Google's future really depends. He's very grateful to Sundar because Sundar manages the high politics of Google and gives him the resources to do his AI research. And Sundar's grateful to Demis because Demis is a genius at that research. And so I think it's the most important buddy act in all of global business right now, the Pichai Hassabis double act.
Yeah, that's fascinating. We're coming towards the end. I think there is one question that's, I guess, more of a fun one. It seems to be that Demis's favorite time is 2 a.m. Like he has a tweet out, I think a few weeks ago.
A week or so ago, yeah.
Yeah, around how that's his favorite time. Why do you think 2 a.m. is Demis's favorite time?
Well, he would often tell me, we'd meet in this pub in North London near his home. And there was a dusty staircase at the back of the pub. We go upstairs, spend 2 hours talking to each other. And so, we did this a lot, right? So I heard him many times say to me, look, it's too noisy at the moment, Sebastian. This race, this AI race, particularly in Silicon Valley, it's nuts. You just can't think. You need time to think. And a lot of his, persona is this split between, on the one hand, a desire to be very competitive, win a capitalist competition, deliver, the best chatbot. He's all in on that. But he's also all in on science and thinking, and he does have a Nobel Prize, right? Yeah. So it's a remarkable combination of 2 different things. And at 2 a.m. is when he's not being bothered by all his duties and distractions as a chief executive, and he can think about science. And that's why it's his favorite time of day. It's also, the time of day when, as he told me a couple of times, he gets seized by the sort of spiritual sensation of doing scientific research. That if, his idea is that as you do science, you understand nature better, and that nature is created in a way that suggests some sort of intelligent divinity may have been behind it. So it's sort of his version of God is doing this scientific thinking at 2 o'clock in the morning.
So awesome.
I think what's most interesting is that you guys spent time, in a pub. That's where you guys met. I think that's the most interesting
just
thing.
Hanging out in the pub.
Yeah. Sebastian, thank you so much for the time. We really enjoyed it, and we really appreciate your time.
Fantastic. My pleasure.
Cheers, Sebastian. Have a good one. Ciao.
Okay. Bye.
Nice one. Wow, that was fascinating.
That was probably one of the most fascinating conversations we've had.
That went so quick. I wish we doubled.
Yeah, it was 20 minutes.
Doubled the time.
Hey ho, Framer, build
So
better
cool.
sites faster. The
Build
all-in-one
better.
what? Oh, the all-in-one platform where enterprise teams design, build, ship, production-ready websites. No dev handoff, no bottlenecks, no creative compromises. Go to framer.com/ETN. Yeah, that was really cool.
Sebastian Mallaby, author of The Infinity Machine. Everyone, if you've not got it, go get it. It is, it's excellent. Yeah. It's been, it was one of the first times in a while that when I was younger and I used to read a lot. I used to like horror fiction. I used to read quite a lot of horror fiction.
Okay.
And to the point where sometimes I'd be reading it and, when you were younger, maybe you had like a Game Boy or like a PSP or a DS or something like that. I don't know if you had these games, like maybe a phone or whatever. And you'd be playing it at night and like your parent would walk in and you'd be like, get it under your pillow or something like that. And you kind of, for a while, like this was actually happening with me, but with these like weird horror books. Well, like, I got so into them that I couldn't put it down. And like, I'd be super young, but I'd be.
Well, there's a lot of times when you, I'll be, I'll get to the office at 8 or whatever. And I'm like, oh, where's Ronan? And you'll text me half an hour later, be like, hey mate, just woken up. I was up till 2:30 because I just couldn't put this book down.
But this was one of those books where you are.
I mean, look, it's admirable because nowadays that's very rare.
Mate, we're seeing kids at school. They're trying to scroll books.
Yeah,
you heard about that? These kids, they're scrolling books, man.
Scrolling books.
They're cooked.
This book isn't scrolling.
They're trying to short form scroll a book.
Yeah.
They're doomed.
It's sad times. Anyway, I wanted to jump into the town square quickly and talk about Nutella's greatest ad. I think we should dive in. We've got a bit of time before our next guest.
Yeah, let's do that.
So our next guest,
we'll go in, but then we'll go out.
is coming on in 10 minutes. So let's talk about this because this is super funny. Nutella had its best ad ever, and it was free. This is an amazing story from the Artemis 2 launch. Can you get it? Can you get the video up?
So, okay, yeah, we should be good. Let me hit play.
Are we good?
Look at that.
Just floating about.
You hear those referred to as PCDs.
So
how much do you think that should
not
cost?
only got just about 1 million views, but the
look at that for like a freeze frame.
Yeah. That freeze frame is just because this not only got 1 million views, but then also it got I think the YouTube stream had like 12 million people in it.
Oh yeah.
And this was part of obviously the YouTube stream.
So exposure to 12 million live viewers
for free.
And
the fact that they love Nutella so much that they have to bring it up to space. This was last night.
Nutella. It's out of this world.
Oh,
Just then, off the dome. Thank you.
Coolest guy, Martin.
Just then, off the dome. I'm actually quite proud of that. Yeah, just cooked.
Maybe they released like a I don't know, like a limited edition Artemis 2 Nutella.
They should. They should be all over this.
They should
this
be
is
all
like
over
the
this.
whole world is watching this.
This is like what happened at Kit Kat like a week ago, but like 10x. Because it's all positive.
Yeah.
Humans had gone, I think this was yesterday, humans had gone furthest, the furthest from Earth than they'd ever been when they were behind the moon.
That's dope.
And
Nutella was with them.
They
should be diving on this.
should be
Where are they at,
diving on it.
Luke? Where are they at?
I don't know, but this
The Nutella
also,
team.
this also made me think.
Has there been anything from Nutella?
I don't know. Let's have a look. No.
Can we check? Can we pull up the
Does
global,
Nutella have X?
global Nutella situation?
The global
monitoring
Nutella
board?
index. They don't have. Oh, they do. They're not like.
How many followers do they have?
They have nothing about it. It's just on a table, in the
But
Swiss
is it
Alps.
active? Like, how many followers does he have?
141,000. Last post 21st. No, sorry, last post 2021.
You hate to see it.
Yeah.
Such a huge opportunity there for Nutella. Quite literally a once in a lifetime opportunity for the
Quite literally a once in a lifetime
the
opportunity.
chocolate hazelnut spread that everyone knows and loves.
So this was this has been covered like by basically every
Other people are picking
some
it up.
trad media things.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
good,
yeah.
that's
So
good.
like, it was on Instagram. I don't know if it was from Nutella. No, not from Nutella. So I don't think they've done anything basically, which is bad.
They should be all over this.
Guys, get over it.
Come on, Nutella.
free marketing.
I've just
First-
given you your headline title as well.
Exactly.
For your ad.
But it made me think they should be selling ads. They should so NASA should be going out. I don't know. They shouldn't. Are they doing this? I don't think so.
No.
Like they should go to Nutella and be like, hey,
There's probably like
we'll do some product placement for you.
Yeah.
If you pay us, I mean, a brand like that would pay, upwards of over $1 million.
Mate,
for
you're
this.
talking $1 million like every day,
Yeah.
probably.
Every day, a little kind of
that's
product
insane.
placement, them using it on their crackers that they're using it on, whatever they are. They should be selling that. That's like free fuel money, basically.
Oh, wait, no way. Ola's just sent me a screenshot of Nutella's Instagram.
Oh, they have done it.
And guess what they've said? Guess what the line is?
Nutella is out as well.
Yeah. That is insane. How can we show the stream this? Wait.
Go on to your.
Oh, I should go on the WhatsApps maybe.
Yeah.
Here, can we show that?
Is that on? Are we on?
But that can pick it up. Yeah, that's insane. There you go, everyone.
Nutella's out as well. So they have done it. Okay.
I'm sorry, but that's like.
How many people at Nutella do you reckon they had to come up with that? The whole marketing
I
department.
mean, they've been quick, to be fair. They
were
quick.
like, guys, got to move quick.
Yeah,
Someone think of something.
They've done a good job.
Bang, they've done it.
Well, look at that. I mean, hey, if you need another guy.
Anyway,
on the
NASA,
team,
you
just
have
let
a
me know.
business opportunity here that you guys should be working on is selling ads for space. If you guys are going to be doing this more, I feel like SpaceX would do this.
It's a real opportunity.
There's
There's
more
probably
opportunity.
some safety concerns as to like what you bring up there.
Oh yeah, for
You
sure. But
can't
like, if you can bring a jar of Nutella, you can bring
like a jar of honey.
a jar of honey. You could
Jar
bring,
of peanut
iPhones.
butter.
They had iPhones. Are they going to pay?
Yeah.
Should Apple be paying for that? Are they paying for
You could
it?
sell
I
like
don't know.
slots. Like we could have like what spread are we going to bring up? Is it a Nutella? Is it a peanut butter? Is it a jam? Actually, jam might be
Polymarket prediction markets off the back of it.
Polymarket neon sign.
What will
inside
Artemis 2 have spread wise?
What is the spread in Artemis 2?
What is the spread?
I can see it happening.
You
we
know?
just need to get in touch with the
70%
right
volume
people.
on Nutella, 30% volume on peanut butter.
I'm actually a peanut butter guy, to be honest.
I'm a peanut butter. I would go
wouldn't
70%
mind
peanut butter.
combining the two though. Nutella x peanut butter.
Would it
collab.
be a peanut butter jelly sandwich?
I'm not a fan of jelly.
Not a fan of it
or
either,
jam.
but
either. Hate
you know,
it. I actually hate it.
so there's secondary markets going on here that no one's
Yeah, forget the space opportunity. Ads in space is the new thing.
or like
You
Philip
heard it here
Johnston,
first.
forget StarCloud, just go and sell ads.
Launch
on the
an
moon.
ad agency.
Ad agency,
Just
the
sells-
first ever ad agency in space.
I think we're on something here.
Data centers in space can.
This is another one of our ETN incubation ideas. So we currently have
we got two.
The Tannoy mics for developers.
Gooseneck mics. Branded gooseneck mic agency.
And ad agency in space.
Yeah.
Okay, we can work on those as and when. They are obviously like incredibly pressing for us and a big focus for us over the next year.
Yeah.
Without further ado, another Sebastian, back-to-back Sebs, Sebastian de Brewer is coming on to talk in 3 minutes.
Talk GTM. Before we do that, Base, the infrastructure for the on-chain world. Base is built to empower builders, creators, people everywhere to build apps, grow businesses, create what they love, and earn on-chain. Go to base.org.
While we have these couple of minutes, if we can, I'd love to pull up the NHS staff boycotting Palantir.
Yeah, this was interesting.
This came up there, and I forgot to ask Sebastian about this because very interesting. So NHS ran, so Mustafa Suleyman, who's one of the co-founders of DeepMind with Demis, he basically led a partnership with the NHS at DeepMind early on because he was very, he wanted to solve like the problems of like social and health. He was like quite focused on that, less so like the technology itself or like making money. It was more like social good, and essentially the whole thing was blocked because it was working pretty well. Like he introduced, I think it's called Streams. It was like a way for doctors to communicate on like red light patients that were maybe suffering for a particular thing to do with the lung, but basically like we can get information to each other quicker, therefore we can save lives, more frequently.
Fine.
And the issue with this was that people, word got out that they were using patient data to help train the stuff that they were working on, and everyone was basically like, oh, we're giving like patient data to US tech, big US tech groups, like getting confidential data sources, brought the whole thing kind of crumbling down. There are a couple other reasons that like sort of made it go like tits up basically, but it was working really well and it was saving lives, but the narrative around it was like so bad, that the press around it was so bad that it kind of got shut down. So again, DeepMind were trying to save lives at the time. I think Palantir's background is a little bit more focused on like defense and technology, so you can understand why there'd be a bit of a sort of back and forth.
I think it's also the
ethical concerns.
The article goes down into like a political kind of road as well, where it's like, Palantir built by very kind of right-wing tech optimists, capitalist, whatever. Do people in the NHS want to be using a product that's been built by someone like that if they're not in the same, if they have kind of different political views, right? And that, again, opens up a completely... Because I feel like that's never really been a thing for software within something like the NHS. Right?
I mean, the fact that we politicize software drives me incredibly mad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's weird.
We can come back to this.
Anyway, we have our next
guest
guest on. Can you hear us, Sebastian?
Yeah.
How's it going?
How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
We're
Welcome to the European Technology Network. It's a pleasure to have you here. Where do we start? Maybe for the stream, can you introduce yourself, the business, and we can get into it from there?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Sebastian, originally Belgian, built out tech companies and invested in the UK for probably about a decade, and then moved over to SF a couple of months ago after I sold my company to DOS. And so my previous company was called Genie. We had made a very lightweight ERP for e-commerce merchants to go live genuinely in a couple of minutes, which was awesome.
Sick.
And then
ERP space.
joined DOS. Yeah. Before it got sexy.
Yeah.
My roots in it lie in running warehouses and production lines. And yeah, DOS is an operations cloud, which basically means we develop business applications purpose-built for people that manufacture, move, sell physical goods, and kind of sit around their accounting software and manage things like their procurement, their inventory, their orders, and so on and so forth.
That's sick.
Let's go.
I mean, I've got a bunch of questions, but the first thing I have to mention is your anti-ERP club t-shirt.
No way.
Can you see that?
Oh, I love this. This is like
So
an
dope.
anti-social club type thing. Where did you get that? Have you
It
made
was,
that?
Is that your company merch?
It was our first attempt at doing merch.
Let's go.
great.
That is sick. How do we get our hands on one of those? Because that is.
Oh,
is
they're
fun.
limited edition now, but I'll have a dig.
Hey, we'll put up the big bucks, man. We need that in the studio. So many questions, as you say, but let's focus on, if we can, Genie. Like, this was being built for roughly 3 years, I think you mentioned.
Yeah.
Let's go founding story, start to finish, and then into an acquisition, and we can maybe talk about that whole broader thing as well.
Yeah. So I built up supply chains for an for an e-scooter company for a couple of years, moved out to China, and spent millions and millions of dollars buying parts, buying scooters, buying things to equip warehouses, mostly off a spreadsheet run by one guy. And that sort of didn't sit very comfortably with me. Once we sold the company, I spent a couple of years investing in London, bought some capital, backed like an early wave of companies that were trying to bring modern technology to like old systems of record. Atio is one of them.
Nice.
And after about 1.5 to 2 years, it was really itching to go back to build. And so I was helping out a couple of friends building out e-commerce brands, being their spreadsheet monkey. Realized that I wasn't solving the problem either. And so quit to start Genie. And the idea with Genie was to go and use, at the time, no-code frameworks. This was like the early days of N8N. To kind of go and configure out workflows. So the idea was like, 70% of how a company runs its operations is fairly standard. The 30% that are specific are really hard to build out. So we raised a couple $1 million to do that from NEA, GFC, a bunch of great angels. And then probably we're like 2-3 years early to build this out in retrospect. Like a lot of the tech changed with AI around this. I think a lot of tech changed as well with a bunch of frameworks you can use for databases. So about 1.5 years in, we really zeroed in and said, okay, there is this lower segment of the e-com market, call it, people doing a couple of million to a couple of tens of million, that are sort of trying to graduate off spreadsheets, but they can't, but they're going onto Amazon, they might go into retail. And so our whole setup was, can we make this a really intuitive and delightful experience? And can we especially like shortcut the time it takes you to get set up? Which we did really well. We had about 300 customers or so. Mr. Beast signed up inbound. That was insane.
That's bonkers.
Wait, what? Talk us through this.
It was really funny. He had, like, his team signed up, and it was the second Shopify store they'd opened. So it was like Mr. Beast merch -2.myshopify. And so we see this coming up in the Slack channel, and I just ignored it. I was like, this is BS.
Yeah.
Like we had it a couple of months earlier as well with one of the main campaigns in the US election at the time, and we thought, that had turned out to be bullshit. So we're like, no way, this is real. And about 3 days in, the guy that we hired to essentially go and like try to do white glove onboarding for people once they got everything set up, because the way a setup worked with Genie was you connected your data sources, and we almost went and crunched out and figured out, okay, which kind of business are you? What are you selling? What are the suppliers you work with? Like we tried to get an 80% correct view that you could action straight away. And he was like, hey, this seems pretty legit. Like they just sold a couple of thousand of this basketball. Like, I don't think this is fake. So we went to Intercom and we're like, hey, when you see this, like, we'd love to chat to you guys. But it was great. And so yeah, I spent a couple of years building that. And I think where we landed out about 3 and a bit years in was we realized it was like a real fork in the road for us.
Yeah.
Either we had to go and rebuild the company essentially as a financing company, because we'd done something that nobody had really done before. And you're kind of seeing and hearing a lot about this now with the private credit crisis that's emerging in the US, right? But a lot of people have been underwriting sort of fairly top down and going like, hey, how big's your business? How much money do you make? How quickly do you grow? Which tells you nothing about the quality of the revenue. But we were able to go out and say, hey, this is how these guys sell. This is their actual cost base. This is essentially the expected value of every single line item in an order they place from their suppliers. So we tried to go out and essentially rebuild the business that way, raise money for it. It was really tricky because you're kind of coming in 3 years in and going, hey, I think especially in Europe, it's really tricky to go out and say, we spent a couple $1 million to figure out that we're building another business.
Yeah. That's not cool.
It was not cool.
In Europe, or is it?
Yeah, and then then went down and said, okay, we should probably go and join someone larger and be able to kind of bring in this tech and these customers.
Yeah.
And ended up speaking to 2 companies. One's a very large publicly listed e-com platform. They were very enthusiastic, but sort of things moved quite slowly. tariffs happened around that time last year in April, so they moved even slower as they were trying to figure out what the hell happened to their core business. Yeah. And then the DOS folks, who I'd known for a very long time, because the ecosystem of people trying to build ERPs or business application software is generally quite small. And that went really fast. And I think that the cool thing there was I flew out to SF. I called them like, it's kind of funny. I had moved into an apartment and I had a call scheduled with them at like midnight or something. And at 11, I decided to take a shower in my new apartment only to realize that the pipes were flooding. So I jump on a phone call with Wiley and I'm like, hey, I'm going to turn the camera off because I'm sat on my bathroom floor naked, basically wiping up all this stuff to try and save my wooden floor. And we talked a bit and he was like, hey, here's how we built things out. Like we've actually gone out and rebuilt all the primitives up. This was stuff you couldn't really see outside in at the time. Mm-hmm. He's like, this is, it's amazing because essentially building up a business application software, it doesn't just work with other pieces of software. You actually can go and tailor it because it's effectively letting an agent loose on building out a code base with configuration files and primitives. And I was like, cool, I'll jump on a flight. So I jumped on a flight the day after. And then as I land and I go to the office, I realized that one of the implementations they're working on is one of my very first customers, a Genie. And so I go to at the time, the implementation team was like 3 folks, all pretty much straight out of college. I sort of sat down with them and was like, look, let me help you figure this out. And so they came out with like a half-baked version of it. And I was like, there's a couple of things to fix out here. Like you need to change this logic and this connector. And I left the office, was like very jet lagged, went to bed and sort of assumed that I'd hear back from them like a week later. And I wake up the next morning and I see it like 25 minutes after I've left the office. They're like, hey, here's the new staging environment. We've pushed it out. Like, does this make sense? And it was better than we had built over 3 years.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, we need to do this. And so that's kind of how the process started. And it's been, I guess, great because obviously on a personal level, I get to keep going after a problem that I've been very passionate about for a very long time. And also, we are doing some really groundbreaking stuff in a part of the world where a lot of groundbreaking stuff is being done here, which is phenomenal. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, when did like the ERP market get kind of hot, kind of sexy, right? Like I think we've looked at technologies like Light, who I think is also backed by Boulderson as well. They seem to be one of the newer kids on the block who are doing pretty well. We spoke to a really young Irish founder called Liam Fuller.
I know Liam very well.
So like as you say, the ERP space is probably pretty small, right? But like, the fact that it was getting all this attention was relatively new to me. It was only after speaking with Liam a few months back that it kind of opened up the world, right? Yeah. And then I see Light and I'm like, oh damn, like these guys are crushing.
They've built a phenomenal product as well. Like they're very deep in the payment flows in a way that I haven't seen anyone do. People have been going after this software and raising venture funding for it for a long time, because essentially it's this enormous market with extremely low NPS, which is sort of the ideal to go after.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting, even if I just compare for myself, like implementing ERP systems in the late 2010s, building out Genie in sort of the early 2020s, this is the first time you actually have like a meaningful platform shift happening. And so that's why it's not just hot in like people are raising venture dollars to go after a big space, but it's actually, I think it's hot because everything is there right now to go and disrupt these incumbents, which have been around forever, right? Like SAP was founded in 72, I think. And the generational shift is kind of twofold. The first one is you're at the 4th generation of these pieces of software. Like they initially were on mainframes and then went client server, and then kind of moved cloud, which is where a lot of the current ones that you see, like NetSuite, Salesforce, and others, built out their business, Workday. And in each kind of shift, what you've solved is how do you make it easier to go and model out of businesses' actual operations and help them run it? What's cool about the last shift now is until now, all you kind of had is a piece of software, and then you like bury layers of sediment on top of it, right? Custom fields, very specific integrations, like stuff that takes a long time to build, and actually is like a fossil record of the business because it changes as you're building out all these things. With AI, you flip it on its head because you actually get to get rid of the architecture. because effectively what you're doing is you have platforms of data that are able to very quickly like self-heal, self-upgrade, adjust to a business and like offer that rigidity, but adjust really quickly. And so we kind of look at it like the great opportunity is, you know, the architecture changes, which basically means faster implementations, more value, adjusting more to a business. But also, you start having two users. Like historically, you have like type 1 systems, right? Humans operate them through human interfaces. That's kind of what we did at Genie, right? You try to make it super easy for a human to understand and operate it. Type 2 systems are a lot of the things that you're already starting to see today in software development. And I think we're going to see a ton more of the next couple of years, which is how does an agent operate inside the runtime itself? Like how does it have agency over its own configuration? How does it, you know, self-introspect, govern, author? And so that's super interesting because I think it means for ERP, but also for a number of other like big entrenched spaces. It's been hard because you've had to build a ton of surface area of software and then try to take big companies off systems that they hate, but they rely on.
Yeah.
What you're at now is you're at the spot where you're like, there's no way that a legacy system can retrofit the requirements that these companies need. And they expect to go and run themselves more. So you're seeing this in our space. I think you're seeing this in a bunch more spaces. I think fintech is also going to go through a very similar renaissance. And by the way, that's where light is really interesting. Like I think they're at an intersection, I think especially in Europe, that is phenomenally interesting.
Yeah, it's almost like, as you say, it's like a net promoter scores just incredibly low across the whole industry. Technology has not seen any innovation since like the early like on-prem days really for the ERPs, right? And like now more than ever, and we had like Eleanor Crespo, the founder of Pigment,
Yes.
my old CEO on a few weeks ago, and you know when I was at Pigment and we were selling EPM, like enterprise performance management software. You know, ERPs would come up all the time. We always used to get annoyed at ERPs because it's like, oh, you've not got an ERP yet. Oh, okay, well then you're not ready for an EPM and then blah, blah, blah. But like at the time it was, and what's I guess happening now and why Light is in such a strong position is that like you weren't the AI company at this point, but you were the startup who had a tendency to lean on potential AI features that were coming out pretty soon. And that was classed as a risk. Like that was a reason that I'm cautious to go with you. However, now the whole thing's been flipped on its head, where these legacy players, or I guess these larger enterprise companies, are having to seek out these AI companies or like AI sort of native financial tools and get away from the legacy platforms that they're on. It's like a it's a full 180.
It's also the thing that we're seeing, and I think with Pigment, probably like head to head, you might have seen some of this too, is a lot of these companies are on like like the really larger companies, but in Europe that can still be like Mittelstand in Germany or like French PMEs, right? Like large complex businesses. They have a patchwork of like some things that are on-prem, some things are in the cloud, some like new solutions they roll out maybe to sell online.
Yeah.
And a couple of these parts are like up for renewal because they're being phased out. They're on like version 17 and they get this email from SAP going like, hey, you have to move to HANA by 2030 or like that's it.
Oh, yeah.
In the past, it was like an automatic upgrade. And that's like where a lot of software evaluations came from as well, right? Like end of year, they call you and they're like, hey, we've assessed that your price goes up by 8% per seat. A lot of these companies now are kind of looking at this and going, and we see a bunch of them inbound, kind of like, hey, I don't want to do this again. Like I am ready to go and figure out how I can rebuild the whole thing from the ground up. And I think 2 years, 3 years, 4 years is plenty for that because I know I've like rolled this out in other parts of my business in a few weeks, a few months. So that's, I don't think you very often get this opportunity where it's not just early adopters moving, it's large businesses basically being in it to buy and upgrade. And we're seeing a ton of this. Like this, part of the reason we raised a bunch of money at DOS was literally seeing what was coming inbound and going, holy shit, we need to be able to support these people and make them feel like we're going to be around in 10 years, right?
Yeah. It's like the implementation game, right? It's one of the only spaces in technology that has such a huge like channel partner / boutique consultancy that will sell these like same at Pigment. We had like a channel function. You know, people build businesses out of implementing that technology. Like there's whole businesses just formed around like transformations of ERPs and EPMs. It's funny you mentioned SAP 4 HANA because it's giving me like flashbacks of my days. That's a phrase that I haven't heard in like literally 3 years, dude.
It's too early for a drink. I'm sorry.
Yeah, need one after hearing SAP 4 HANA. Dude, we've run over. So sorry. This is. I mean, I didn't realize I could talk about ERPs and EPMs all day. I had that. You know, when I was younger and someone asked me that, I'd probably be like, no way. But here I am.
It's a sad existence.
Here I am.
I think probably the one thing I would want to add just to the last point you made, but I'll make it really brief. Like the size of the implementation market is 5 times roughly the size of the global software market. It's massive. It's not going to go away.
No way. That's insane.
It's like, I think it was an Accenture report. It's like 1.87 trillion. It's huge, but you go and look and speak to these people about the work they do, and like 70-80% of it is stuff that is, even for them, not value add.
Yeah.
Like data cleaning, creating a baseline. It's like these folks aren't going to go away. They're just going to start doing way more strategic and valuable work. And I think that's the opportunity as well.
Yeah. Interesting.
And that's not just happening, you know, in this space, it's happening everywhere, right? It's like that's where humanity is hopefully going, and if you look at it in a positive way, right? Where every person within a company is doing more strategic work, high level work, instead of kind of in the weeds.
100%. It's like it's if you think about it as an industrial revolution, like what we're doing is we're unleashing human creativity and potential in a way that we haven't done for white collar work in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And we are excited for it, and we welcome it with open arms.
Indeed we do.
Sebastian, thank you so much for joining us, dude. Welcome
guys.
back anytime, and I would love to get my hand on one of those t-shirts.
I'll get you the merch. All right.
All right,
Ciao
dude,
later.
have a good one.
We'll see you soon. Great to meet.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah, super interesting.
Up next, we have Sean, aka SWYX, founder at AI Engineer. Swix, codename Swix, street name Swix. Coming on to talk about their inaugural event this Thursday. If you can get there, get there. As we said earlier,
Get there, be there. It's going to be good fun.
Peter Steinberger.
We will be there on Thursday. That is where we are. Have we announced this yet? We're announcing it now.
No.
We are announcing the fact that we're going to be at AI Engineer on Thursday, the 9th of April.
Well, Sean has announced it actually on our behalf.
Oh, really? Okay, well, we're going to be there. It's going to be good. We're going live from, I don't actually know exactly where it is.
12. It's at the Queen Elizabeth Centre 2.
Let's go. 10 to 12. It's game time on Thursday at AI Engineer.
There will be caps
and everyone else in between. We'll have Peter Steinberger on the show. We'll have a bunch of other people. It's going to be bonkers.
Yes, hopefully that can happen.
Anyway, leave our digital business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business. Go to airwallex.com.
I've also got people hounding me trying to get tickets, trying to get into the hottest AI event.
I've had so many people wanting tickets.
People want to get in. Let them in, Sean.
And they know that we hold the power.
You got to pay the moolah if you want a piece of the pie.
Indeed, you do. What do we want to jump into now?
I mean, we very briefly touched on the NHS thing, but we don't have to go down that route again.
I feel like we're good. We're happy.
We did kind of like go over it a little bit. Basically,
can we talk about the Citrini research straight up from us?
This is insane.
Let's
talk about this. We
have 10 minutes.
Actually pull up the video I wanted to do actually. So give me a sec. Let me bring this up. This was nuts. I actually can't believe what I was looking at. So let's just pull up this video. So for anyone who followed the SaaSpocalypse, I guess the term that went mainstream via the Citrini research paper of intelligence in 2028, it was basically depicting a situation in which the world, AI would progress so quickly, so powerfully, and it was basically the economic impact of said progression. It created the narrative around SaaSpocalypse. It wiped off $200 billion from the global stock market just in a reactionary basis of how the market responded to the Citrini research paper, which Citrini were already doing great work prior to this, but it kind of shot them into virality, made them a global name. And not that they were quiet for a bit, but everyone's kind of wondering like where they at, and here they are. They've come back. So this was broken by Hunter Brook Media. This was exclusive from Citrini x Hunter Brook Media. A fishing vessel is ablaze in the Persian Gulf just off the Strait of Hormuz. And here is, we don't have sound for this, unfortunately, but this is what you will soon find out to be footage from analyst number 3 is what Citrini Research are calling him or her. We do not know, but this was an analyst who was sent out into the field.
So many memes came out about this on the weekend. It was
a lot of memes have come out, and we do have we have the workings of a written up report from Citrini Research that we can get up and have a look at. But this is genuine footage from analyst number 3 out in the field.
This is a fishing vessel. It's ablaze in the Persian Gulf just off the Strait of Hormuz.
It's absolutely bonkers. So like, just
you should get a raise for that.
They must be being paid handsomely to risk one's life for the footage. That is the true pinnacle of journalism. Discussing that article a little bit, this is what's titled Strait of Hormuz, a Citrini field trip. Analyst number 3 on assignment. It's got 1,007 likes on I guess this is Substack. But introduction, Citrini Research raison d'etre is talking complex topics of interest for investors and explaining them in a way that's intuitive. That's why our work spans so many asset classes and why it's sometimes we write in-depth sector primers, macroeconomic missives, and occasionally hypothetical scenarios that result in us receiving death threats, only semi-credible ones. They did wipe off 200 billion in value from the stock market. You could assume why they would get death threats. Talking about something confusing is what gets us excited. It's also where great investment ideas are born. The situation in the Strait of Hormuz is nothing if not confusing right now. So Citrini Research sent our incredibly capable field analyst, dubbed analyst number 3, in order to avoid emotional attachment, on assignment to the Strait of Hormuz. Armed with a fluency in 4 languages, including Arabic, a Pelican case full of equipment, a pack of Cuban cigars, $15,000 in cash, and a roll of Zin, number 3 set out to fulfill the itinerary we'd planned in our Manhattan offices the week prior. We figured we'd leave with an impression that was basically, the strait is closed or open. We also were quite aware that the trip might be a flop and we would learn nothing at all. However, we came away with a much more nuanced understanding of what the current environment and the transition to a multipolar world. If David Foster Wallace were alive today, he'd be reporting from the bar in a beachside town on the Omani coast, talking notes on a napkin about the particular quality of silence in a 100-room hotel with 3 guests, watching tankers drift towards but never quite reach the Strait of Hormuz. That's our inspiration here. If DFW was also concerned with finding alpha. And there's just a brief introduction into the strait, which we can go over. But before crossing into Oman, the officer asked Citrini analyst number 3 to sign a document. The pledge, pre-printed, presented over tea at a desert checkpoint, was an agreement not to engage in photography, journalism, or info gathering of any kind within the Sultanate of Oman. He signed it. The officer then opened analyst number 3's rugged Pelican case to inspect it. What he missed, the gimbal, the microphone kit, the recording sunglasses. The assignment was on. There's a great photo here of a couple Zin pouches and the deck of Cuban cigars that they refer to. On the other side, number 3 talked away into a rickety speedboat with no GPS, defied advice from Omani officials to turn back and rode on the open seas 18 miles from the Iranian coast, while Shahid drones flew overhead and Revolutionary Guard patrol boats ran patterns in the distance. He swam in the Strait of Hormuz, smoking one of the Cubans he still had on him. We'll kill it there, but just look, this is
very well written.
Beautifully well written. They're experts over there at Citrini Research doing God's work. The fact that this guy swam in the Strait of Hormuz, smoking one of the Cubans he brought with him, is
dedication to the game.
Insane, and I guess maybe the biggest aura farmer of the year, if you can say so. There was just one last
Analyst of the Year award. I feel like goes to analyst number 3.
I just human being of the decade, I think is my award. But this is just a really joke tweet. This is from maybe a stretch.
We've had Sebastian Mallory on talking about Demis.
Demis is obviously up there. Analyst number 3 from Citrini is head to head.
Yeah.
This is from Geiger Capital. Just a screenshot of part of the article. Absolutely incredible. Citrini, analyst number 3, got picked up by the CID Gulf CIA because of the tweets about him. And a quick story here that had me in stitches the other day. The front desk informed me that 2 gentlemen from the CID were downstairs to ask me questions. CID in the Gulf is the CIA with even less chill. I chucked my iPhone in the room safe and grabbed the burner. They'd seen the Citrini tweets about analyst number 3. Thanks, James. I went downstairs in my pajamas and hotel slippers. There's a piece of OPSEC you learn as an Arab English speaker. If things get sticky, you only speak English because Arabic opens doors you don't want opened. The possibility that you're a spy, a sympathizer, any number of things that are very hard to shake once someone decides you might be them. So I came downstairs speaking English only. Hello guys, how are you? I speak English. The hotel receptionist, the same man I'd been chatting with in Arabic all day, turned to the agents and said, "This guy speaks perfect Arabic." Oh man, that is so awesome. Another reason why you should go and check out the Citrini research paper.
The comments on that post also, shout out to @Geiger_Capital because that was banger. 715k views, and then the comments are just absolutely hilarious. There's a bunch of memes.
Oh yeah, Casey's out.
It was a good weekend for memes. It was very fun. We enjoyed it.
Yeah,
well, I
a lot of
enjoyed
good
it
stuff out there.
particularly.
But just had to mention that this is talk of the town right now. It's taking journalism to a new level.
Yeah.
This is where
talk about analysts putting their bodies on the line for the story. That is what you got to go do. You got to go, get a boat to the Strait of Hormuz and film a burning vessel.
Just got to get out there. Got to get it done.
Indeed. There you go. The infrastructure for the on-chain world. Base is built to empower builders, creators, and people everywhere. Build apps, grow businesses, create what they love, and earn on-chain. Go to base.org.
We have 2 minutes before Sean joins us. I do want to cover the Plex company offsite.
We can do that.
In Honduras.
Yeah.
Should we do that now?
It's let's do it. This is an unbelievable story. Absolutely hilarious. This came out yesterday. The Wall Street Journal came out with an article that titled "Inside a Corporate Retreat That Went Very Badly Wrong." Technology company Plex took its 120 employees to Honduras for a week-long bonding experience. It was a disaster from the moment that they arrived. We'll just talk about quickly the first few paragraphs. Senior executives at the tech company Plex were eager to treat their 120 employees, fully remote staffers, to a week-long corporate getaway in a tropical paradise. The plan for the Honduras trip was simple: company meetings and team building by powdery soft beaches during the day and island fun at night, at a cost of roughly $500,000 to the company. They'd built the trip around a survivor theme with team challenges, but it'd be fun, not too physically grueling. The CEO of Plex, a free streaming platform, would play a role to that of survivor host Jeff. I mean, and it just went very wrong.
It went pretty wrong, dude. So they you go on these company offsites. When I was at Pigment, we'd go to like the south of France. When we were at Convergence, we got acquired before we could even go on one, but we were planning on going to Mexico.
Yeah.
They're always pretty cushy. Like a couple of my mates at Clavio, they go to
but these guys
the US.
They themed it.
They themed it in a way, but like you're still expecting it to be chill, right? For the employees, you're on holiday, you're kind of relaxing. It's a fun, you do these like group team bonding activities, whatever it is. They're always slightly cringe, but it's kind of funny in a way, in a cringe way. Mm-hmm. But in Honduras, that's not really what happened. But you've got Sean Hoff, who's founder of Monica Partners, an independent retreat agency that planned the trip. They say about 3 weeks before we arrived in Honduras, we got an email from the hotel's general manager that said, "I will be departing. I wish you the best with your retreat." I knew something was off 3 days later. Another email. The head chef was no longer going to be at the hotel. So these are like the early signs of the warnings. What's going on here? When they're pulling up to the site, this is Chief Product Officer and Plex co-founder Scott Olachowski, who's 52. We get there, we've got to take a bus from the airport, dirt roads. You start getting closer and there are guard towers around the property, people with machine guns and stuff. A lot of people were like, where are we going? There's another joke bit further down about how a porcupine falls into someone's shower and one of the engineers has to get the porcupine out of the shower. There's a whole bunch of amazing stuff in here. Maybe we can come back into it. I think we've got Sean coming into the studio as we speak.
We do.
And we're going to be getting into AI engineering. We cannot wait. Let me...
there he is. I think, can you hear us? Huge.
Sure.
You're live on ETN. Thank you very much for joining us. How's it going?
It's going. We're set up here in the QE2 Center. I can give you guys a tour if you want. We're just setting up the podcast booth as we speak.
Let's do it. Let's go on a tour.
Let's go on a tour. I'm keen.
Really?
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Let's
why not?
go.
If we can.
If you're not plugged in.
No, I'm tethered. It's to me it's really crazy because obviously I don't live here, but I think we picked a really nice spot. This is Westminster Abbey.
Look
right
at
over
that.
there.
Yeah. That's London at its finest.
Yeah, let's go.
The weather's beautiful. I was worried about coming in April, but it looks like things have warmed up a lot. So we have all the signage outside. There's going to be a giant lobster here tomorrow. With the open claw.
Steinberg is going to be pumped. Let's go. You love to see that. When did you fly
You guys
in?
got to get him on your show. Yeah. Big banners over there.
We'd love to.
Yesterday morning.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay,
yesterday morning.
So still slightly jet lagged.
We're setting up the expo. It's basically everyone important in AI, and with a sort of European bias. This is what I've been aiming for.
Yeah.
I really tried to target the conference towards European accelerationism. So that's the EAC logo embedded in there. And lots of great partners. Our presenting sponsor, DeepMind, so they get the pride of place in the center area. But yeah, as you can see, I have about 30 people doing the booth builds.
This is awesome.
All over. We had to buy them lunch. That's lunch over there. This is 11 Labs. They set up a nice little phone booth. Shout out to the 11 Labs team. DeepMind over there. And that's the podcast booth that you guys are going to be set up at. Right?
Yeah.
Look at that. With all the equipment.
That looks awesome.
That'll be setting up. Yeah.
Oh, dude, the backdrop looks awesome for that.
Our producer is grinning.
Yeah,
right
our producer's
Very
watching
excited.
right now. We're getting excited.
It's going to be
This
interesting.
is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I don't actually know the previs of like what it looks like, but I just let the team. I hire good people and let them figure it out, right?
Dude, our experience with the team has been awesome.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I'm ultimately responsible for them. Keynote stage, which is where we need the big LED walls and stuff. And this is part 2 of the expo where all the gold sponsors are sitting. So much quieter area. So a lot to build. All this gets done in one day.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of crazy amount of build work and equipment.
That's insane. It's a lot bigger than I thought it was. The space, especially.
Oh, this is just the main floor. There's 2 other floors that we have for workshop space and just general, session areas.
Wow, that's so cool.
Let's go. And rough numbers on how many people will be coming down on the day. Do you have an estimate how many we can expect?
I think we're at 1,100 people, which puts us slightly over the limit, but not everyone shows up at all times. So we're comfortably at 1,000 on average, give and take. Yeah.
Let's go.
And look, talk to us about the event. Let's jump into a little bit of a few questions that we have. I wanted to ask about the origin to the event. Why do you feel like it's important? Why specifically have you guys started creating these events? I'm super interested.
Yeah. The original desire was basically that there wasn't actually any developer-focused AI events, even in San Francisco in 2023. So this was before OpenAI even had a dev day, where they even thought that it was relevant to speak to the engineers, because basically all that existed at the time was ChatGPT. And so, I've come from a long tradition of developer conferences, the developer community, and just talking about how to build with APIs. I think there's a very big and significant transition in AI where it used to be that AI teams and ML teams would sit within a single company and they would train their own models and deploy their own models, and that would be the ML stack.
Yeah.
But the rise of foundation
We lost him. We lost our boy Sean. He's been lost in the.
We've actually lost him.
Yeah. I'm assuming the internet's.
He'll come back. He'll come back.
I think hopefully we're plugged in tomorrow. we better have internet, Sean.
This isn't a good sign.
We've lost our boy. We've lost our host.
I was about to post a tweet live with founder of AI Engineer. Here we go.
He's back. Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I wasn't even moving, but it looks like I fell off a bit. Where did I stop? Okay, yeah. So around in 2023, I realized that there's this sort of split in the AI ML stack where you're no longer containing within a single company because models are getting so large and so general purpose that they have to be specialized in a foundation lab. And then everyone else is API consumers, basically, that they build the application layer. And I think comparatively, it was very non-consensus to emphasize the application layer. At the time, you just derived it as GPT wrappers, but we have some very successful GPT wrappers presenting here over the next few days.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's connected to a question that I had pre-planned that I wanted to ask you, but maybe it's a good segue. Just on you've spoken out a lot about the AI engineer role specifically, right? Like just taking it from a role perspective. And I think back in 2024, you predicted that the AI engineer would be the most important job of the decade. You spoke about this position a lot, but my question is, it seems that it's kind of become the baseline for software engineer, right? In a way that you kind of just expect software engineers to be sort of native within AI. Is this is that now just the baseline? Like, is AI engineer and software engineer, are they kind of converging into one? Like, what is the state of that role, I guess, in this time?
I think they're definitely converging. I didn't fully foresee the speed at which they were converging when I first started this journey. I do think that there are domains where you still should not be that AI-centric. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, if you're a database engineer, you're very much not vibe coding things. If you're a distributed systems engineer, you're very much not live coding. But if you're doing a normal CRUD app, where you do B2B SaaS, you could absolutely vibe code whatever you need. Yeah. And so I do think there are different domains of engineering have different levels of penetration of AI. And I think it's all well and good. I do think things are growing in all dimensions. I think the last thing I'll point people to is there's basically, I talked about this in my first keynote for AI Engineer. I think about it as three different kinds of AI engineer, right? First is sort of the AI product engineer, where they expose all their functionalities to end users. But increasingly, AI engineer is also meaning the AI enhanced engineer, where they use AI tooling for developer tooling, like using Cursor, Cloud Code, Cognition, all those things. And then the last one is the non-human AI engineer, where they're fully agentic coding bots. That's Leah, by the way. That's my general manager.
Hello.
She's running the whole show. Yes. She makes it possible for me to scale myself, and we couldn't run the show without her. So there's different kinds of AI engineer. I think they're all developing all at once. It is very confusing. But I do feel sympathy for some software engineers who feel annoyed that they are being forced into how many lines of code did you write with AI today? That seems like a very disrespectful of the craft. And I also empathize with that, right? And I do want AI engineer to not be fully on the hype wave, to be conservatively optimistic. And it's a fine line to balance, because we do engage in marketing. Effectively, this whole thing is funded by marketing dollars. But we want to be reasonable marketing, to be sensible, to stand for things that will last instead of things that just go viral on one day and then disappear the next.
Yeah. Do you feel like the agent hype then has kind of gone? It's too early. Do you feel like that? Is it?
Oh no.
No. Okay. Good.
No, it's finally working.
Okay. Cool.
One of my most core memories on my podcast was telling David Luan, the CEO of Adet, he was the first VP of engineering at OpenAI, to take agents out of his company description, because the word agent was so uncool in 2023. And how things have changed, right? I think they're finally working, and they're finally sort of replacing a lot of the things that we used to do manually. And I think that is so beautiful for better leveraging human intelligence, right? Why would I spend my time doing commoditized things? And I've been developing this philosophy about like, why are agents so useful to us? Like, why should you, or there's this company Warp, right, where they basically are taking over the terminal and having agents intermediate everything. And this is what the term that people are saying. And in the same way, like, in the way that I used to be able to edit single lines of code to edit CSS, now I might not. I might just ask an agent to do it, even though I could probably do it more efficiently power-wise through just like conscious editing. And it is just the ability to just delegate and not worry about the details. And if there's yak shaving, which is a common term in tech, yak shaving means like you set out to do one thing, but then you discover there's like 2 things that need to get done before you do that one thing. So you go and do the other 2 things. And then you find 2 more things, and you find 2 more things, and it just spirals out of control. So the agent level, the agents let you just stay high level, and they can take care of the yak shaving if it runs into that, which it happens a lot in programming. Yeah. And you get more done. You stay within your context of that, like what needs to overall get done. You can direct the agents as you go along. And it's not to say that you can't dive in and focus. You can dive in and focus while you delegate to other stuff. And I think that amount of parallelism and amount of like saving of the yak shaving is unprecedented in human history. So I'm very optimistic about that.
Nice. You love to hear that. Connected to this, I guess like, even in terms of productivity terms, some companies, some startups are almost being measured on their like token consumption now, and that is like a good signal. That's a great signal to say that this company is probably more productive than the next one. But I remember seeing, I think this is just released today. There was an article about how Meta are consuming like 60 trillion tokens a month at the moment. I think it was by the information.
Someone did the math. That if Meta paid market rates, all of that spend was Anthropic. That accounts for the 10 billion jump in ARR from last month to this month.
That's so
I mean, it's not true, but
it would be nuts. But like, again, on a market rate, that's an insane price. Like, what people are calling it. I mean, this was one of the headlines from the thing is like Meta employees are token maxing. Is this the future? Like, is one, is this a good sign? And 2, is this how every company should be thinking? They should be measuring like token consumption on a productivity basis.
It is the crudest, highest order bit. So I don't think it is the long-term future. Nobody thinks it's the long-term future, but is it the future for 2026? Yeah, sure. Because like you're probably still using too little AI. And like, you could use AI more intelligently. And of course, we want you to use AI more efficiently and intelligently and not waste my money, my company's money. But as a broad scope, I'm already spending so much on your salary. And if you're not as efficient as you could be, then you're probably not utilizing your own time as effectively for my purposes of employing you as possible. So if I get one message, and this is the burden of all large company leaders, is you can't afford nuance. You just have to have very high level goals that everyone can align on, and like 3 simple charts that run the whole company. And yes, there's lots of hair, and yes, it's messy, and yes, it's annoying to people who care about nuance, but directionally it is correct. And that's the podcast with the Shopify CTO, Mikhail Parakin. And Shopify effectively had a mandate to all its employees to use more AI, and they all of them were on unlimited token budget, right? Through all of 2025, the chart looks like this. It's kind of flat-ish, and as January 2026 comes in, it quadruples as of year to date. And so like what were they doing in 2025? Like, well, I mean, arguably the models weren't ready yet, but also they're also seeing a large discrepancy in the takeoff. Like the top 10% of users find more creative ways to use AI in their daily workflow and get more productivity out of it. And the bottom 10% don't, and they're cynical, they're skeptical, they don't get on board, and so of course they don't grow. And so there's a huge management issue. And by the way, this is happening inside of the big labs as well, like inside of OpenAI. I had a podcast with Steve Yegi, who has had off-the-record conversations with a lot of people there. This is a performance management issue, because like if you fucking work at OpenAI and you're not on board, what are you doing? Like there are people like that, and if it happens at OpenAI, it happens at your company. And I do think like there's this giant productivity gap that everyone has to figure out, right? Like probably everyone at the top, let's say 5% has LLM psychosis, and they're probably wasting a lot of money, but their increase in productivity maybe offsets the waste that they have. And then probably at the people at the bottom are more efficient and are very conservative and don't make so many mistakes with AI, but probably they're underusing AI as well. So it's very complicated to get all this the sort of complex diversity in AI usage into shape.
Yeah, it's like hard to find like strike a good balance. We had another question just off the bat was your Tiny Teams playbook, and it's kind of connected to this in some way, right? How can these individual people become more...
Nice research, guys.
Thank you. But it is connected to this in a way, right? How can people become more productive? Can we just learn a bit more about the Tiny Teams playbook?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is me pushing back against the idea of the one-person unicorn, right? That everyone is kind of pushing. I do think it takes a village. I do think that whether it's one person, 2 people, or 10 people, it's kind of an ego thing to insist on one. Like like I don't need anyone else. I'm so superior to anyone. So I don't think that's very relatable. I don't think that's very implementable for large companies. But everyone can agree on the fact that teams should probably be more efficient, and you probably move faster, and everyone's happier, and you're more profitable with tiny teams. And so my simple definition of tiny teams is teams that make more in millions in revenue than they have numbers of employees. So a very simple metric of revenue efficiency is dollars of revenue per employee. And if you're over $1 million, you can probably afford to pay a very good salary. You're probably profitable. And that changes the whole economics of everything, right? Like you don't need that much venture-backed capital. And you don't need that many employees to scale up. And so the coordination costs are lower as well. And so I think there's a lot of benefits that come out of it. So last year I started curating the Tiny Teams track at AI Engineer. And so all these teams are emerging, right? Teams at small companies of 4 people that make $6 million, but then also larger teams of 40 people that make 100 million, right? And even at the large companies like at a Box, where they're publicly listed, they're worth 10 billion, there are 3,000 people. They also have a tiny team of 100 people that are working on AI stuff. And so I think this concept scales from the small team to the large. And so I think everyone wants to understand organizational dynamics around like, how do you form these teams? How do you motivate them? How do you select for them?
Yeah, it's fascinating because it's coming up so much recently. And the first time I ever heard it was, I think, on a Naval podcast that he did with Joe Rogan in 2017 when he's making predictions around AI, but he's talking about the future of this type of thing. It will look like small SWAT teams, he says, like small, like highly capable SWAT teams working together in whether it's a larger company or being hired in as consultants. But that was kind of like the first time I personally heard about these, and he's referencing AI in a general sense, and he's making a few predictions about what the future looks like. I think he was saying that the creative elements, like image generation and like song creation, all that sort of stuff would be safe. Like that's not going to happen first, but like ironically, it kind of happened, was one of the earliest things. But it seems to be.
I think it's mixed. I do think that the mediocre tier song creation is automated, but top tier is still very, very human. For those interested, Ed Sheeran just did a podcast where he live streamed his song making process with his collaborator David.
Really?
It was like this super weird part. It was like 2 hours. They were talking. They're just hanging out and talking. Like it's not like a normal podcast. And at the end of it, he records a custom song for the host, which most podcasts would not get. But if you're a very good podcaster, if you get Ed Sheeran to write a song for you.
Anyway, he live streamed it, and it was a live stream.
I don't know if it was a continuous recording of him writing a song with his main guy, which I'm really pissing myself for blanking. The guy that's engaged to Selena Gomez, I forget his name, Benny Blanco. So him and Benny are the main. They write every song together, right? But this is the first time they got the whole thing improvised on tape, and it was a beautiful thing to watch. Anyway, nothing to do with AI. But I'm just saying, I think that whole reversal thing, that's a Sam Altman line. He was like, initially I thought the creative processes would be the last to go, maybe they're the first to go. I think that's a little bit overstated. Anyway, the verifiable processes are the first to go, right? The ones where you can apply RL environments to it. Those are the first to go. So
yeah.
Because they're distinguishable.
I know we're running over. I have one last question, if it's cool, if you have time. It's basically are we in the age of the high agency individual? How important is it to be high agency today?
The generalist as well.
Yeah. I don't know about the generalist part. Yes, but yes, high agency, because high agency people use agents effectively, right? You want to get shit done, and you don't really get too religious about how your set way of doing things should be done at all times. So yeah, it is. I mean, I think it is permanently at the age of the high agency individual, but you just have a lot more tools now. You have serverless intelligence. Like it just spins up and down. Like you don't have to wait for people to like. You don't have to go on a marketplace. You don't have to go on Fiverr or something to like hire somebody and then wait for them to work with you, and then maybe figure out the first one that you hired wasn't that great, and you fire them. You hire the second one. No, like now you just prompt engineer them, and if it doesn't work out, it's your fault. So it's a very, very high agency thing to have very fast feedback loops and complete ownership over the outcome. Whereas like previously, to get anything done, you had to rely on other people. So yeah, I mean, it is absolutely the age of the high agency. Generalist, I think you can do more as a generalist for sure. You can learn a lot more just in time instead of just in case. And I think that is fantastic, right? Like self-education is so much better now because of LLMs.
Yeah.
But you don't know what you don't know. And the people who have accumulated decades of expertise in their area can now suddenly accelerate themselves because they know exactly what to prompt, they know exactly what to spot, and they can sort of complement the AI in a way that you cannot because you're just a generalist.
Yeah.
So I think generalists are augmented, but I think it's dangerous to assume that you can self-teach everything because you just don't know what you don't know. LLMs don't know what they don't know. And you're just like this like blind leading the blind situation of like not knowing what is actually wrong or an incorrect interpretation of reality.
Yeah, that's great.
Dude,
I love that.
Thank you so much for making time for us.
Yeah,
we'll see you Thursday.
See you Thursday. We're visiting 10 Downing, which is exciting.
So
just down the street.
So cool.
And there'll be, hopefully things will be splitting off in a good way on socials. I've designed some swag items, which I hope to be very viral. Yes, so I'm very excited. This is one of those things where, I get to do the fun part of curating the speakers and then also trying to put AI jokes into the things that we do, which is always fun.
That's so fun. Well, yeah, we're pumped. We can't wait. It's gonna be really good. So we'll see you Thursday.
Yeah. Yes, see you Thursday. Also, for those watching on YouTube, go to the AI Engineer page now. The streams are already up with AI generated music, and I think this is the best music we've ever done. So it is AI generated, but check it out. See, let me know what you think.
Let's go.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, cool.
Dude, so cool. Thank you for joining us. Can't wait for Thursday. Let's have some fun. Let's have a good time.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys.
Good stuff.
See you soon. Have a good one, Sean. Right. Ciao.
Bye.
So sick. Look at that, going popping off over there at Queen Lizzie Centre Number Dose. AI Engineer London. If
there's
you're
three floors. You're like, oh wow, that's a really big space. Yeah, we've also got 2 more floors.
Yeah, triple it. Triple it.
Yeah, triple that.
This is nothing.
Yeah,
this is nothing.
What are you on about?
Triple it, mate.
Ollie, do you like where we're filming? Looks good, eh?
Looks cool, huh?
Look at that. Anyway, talking about something cool. Leave outdated business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business. Go to airwallex.com. Next on the show, we have Meta World Peace, the NBA All-Star and founder of Perpetual Celebrity Commerce. They're doing kind of like AI, like avatars type thing for celebrities. Very interesting concept. Really good. Really very excited to actually just break this down and talk to him about his philosophy of building a company and the actual idea itself and what they're building over there. So it is going to be interesting.
It's going to be cool. So
we
Meta
have 4 minutes.
is just a quick one on Meta. Meta is NBA All-Star co-founder and chairman of 37 Partners and co-founder of Perpetual Celebrity Commerce.
The guy's a machine.
To break that down, Meta's going to be breaking down specifically PCC, which is the launch. It's a platform that seeks to help athletes and entertainers create, manage, and monetize AI-generated digital likenesses of themselves. We will also be joined by one of Meta's co-founders, Stefan. We're not sure if he can make it yet. That is still going on, but he might be joining us, might not. We will see.
We might be having a party, or there might just be 3 of us.
Yeah, might be a quad or a trio. But either way, looking forward to chat to.
Oh, really? There's either 4 or 3 of us.
Will be me, you, and Meta would be 3, and then.
Yeah.
Oh, you joking?
No. As in, like, who's coming on? I think it was Meta, and then.
Stefan. I think it's
Stefan.
Yeah. But we're not sure if Stefan's 100% joining. He's a question mark on the invite.
I see. So it might be 3 of us, or there might be.
Yeah.
Wait, are you I don't really know. I don't think I listened to you properly. I wanted to jump onto a few things about on the weekend. This was like, I don't know, Saturday, maybe Sunday. Hudzar at Hud_Zar atted Granola and said, at Granola, can you please make a hardware product? We'd like to record every conversation in every meeting room by default. I feel like that is a... We talked to the founder, Stephen, on this, and he was like, well, that's why we put it in the phone. But I feel like putting it like just on a desk would be like, like an intercom vibe in desks on, old school kind of offices.
Yes, yeah, like you press the button,
it's like,
hey, during the conference
call. It's good to go.
Hell yeah.
I think that would be, and you can bring in Granola's design.
Well, I mean, Sam said like I can't remember if he said it was something they wanted to do or.
Well, he was like, that's why we put it in the phone so everyone can have one. But then there was a comment, and it was Connor Turland was like, smartphones, Granola app. I've been recording. Hudzar then came back and said the mics are mid. They're not very good.
The mics are mid.
Mics
tough.
are
Tell you
mid.
what isn't mid, Granola's spoons that they released. See those?
Yeah, is that to customers?
I can't remember. We need to get our hands on one because they look awesome.
Okay.
Anyway, without further ado, we have our next guest who is joining us on the show. It is Meta World Peace, who is, by means of introduction, the co-founder of PCC, the co-founder of 37 Partners and the chairman, and also NBA All-Star. Meta, welcome to the European Technology Network. How are you?
Absolutely. Everything is great, man. Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, we're doing good, man. We're doing good. It's good to see you. Yeah, dude, what a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. We've been pumped about this, and super excited to get into to the new launch. I mean, this thing looks like it's needed. This thing looks like it could only be built by someone who has been in the game and then also come out and taken over the business world as well. So maybe, I guess, as like an introduction, can you maybe just break down the company a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, once again, great to be here. Early morning here in Los Angeles, but it's worth it. I'm up early anyway.
Okay, good.
Absolutely, yeah. So I started 37 Partners. I had in mind years ago when I was going to China that it was hard to navigate how to do business in China. So I've been in China over 50 times. I met some really great partners out there. And I had another journey in my life in 2014 when I was trying to figure out how do athletes launch product and go from marketing to exit. And that was something I just wasn't privy to. It just wasn't in my world. So I got involved in digital marketing. I got curious about many other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With that being said, digital marketing, we live online. When the cryptocurrency wave hit or when the NFT wave hit, there was opportunities for athletes to take advantage of that in and out of these opportunities.
Sure. Yeah.
When Shopify launched, when Facebook ads launched, you got these small window of opportunities. So now here you have it. Perpetual celebrity commerce, your digital self. Once again, there's another opportunity for athletes, especially athletes that are not, maybe you're not coaching, or celebrities also. Maybe you're not working, but people and your fans, they still know you. We also saw the situation where a lot of celebrities and athletes was getting involved in the cryptocurrency world, but because they didn't understand the technology, because they didn't understand utility, and they didn't understand compliance, we saw their names out there in a negative light.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I have first party, kind of not knowledge and data on the digital side, now I'm able to, as an athlete, I'm able to keep the best interests protected from an entertainer, celebrities, provide a service. And now it's incredible what you can do with all of these, these AI, these avatars. So now we're here. Essentially, our product is going to be able to help celebrities and athletes sell products literally in their sleep.
That's so cool.
Let's
I love
go,
it.
man.
I love
That's
it.
huge.
I wanted to talk about the trust piece. You kind of touched on it a little bit, and I think there's so much opportunity out there, right? Specifically for athletes who have personal brands to go and build products, as you were talking about. But then it opens that opportunity potentially for bad actors, potential scams, all of that kind of stuff. Can you talk to us about PCC's ability to build trust with the market and an athlete's consumer base as well?
Well, yeah, definitely. Well, one, it's like an AI powered digital likeness.
Yeah.
But mine, it looks and sounds just like me, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of building trust, we set guardrails, what it can say, how it behaves, what it can sell. And it's not a thing where we had this issue in Hollywood where people were just using their likeness.
Yeah.
You actually have to sign off, with our product.
Okay.
You can't just use it and then sell it. And this is where we're trying to combat, all the deep fakes and different things like that. I see my partner join too. So
hello, Stephen, right?
Yes.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the European Technology Network. Thank you for joining us. It's good to have, we don't usually have more than one person on. Sometimes we have two guests. So this is not a first, but it's kind of a first. But I remember saying when we were chatting with your team, we said the more the merrier. So it's good to have you on.
All right.
I guess moving slightly on from what we just touched on was the trust piece for the new venture. Incredibly important mission. As you say, Meta, like everyone is, there are no guardrails right now, right? It's so new that people can kind of just do what they want with it. So it's good to know that you guys are kind of putting these in place specifically for this kind of technology. I guess, could you maybe give us an update on where are things at right now? The first activation, I think, has gone ahead. We'd love to know a bit more about how things are going. What are the results? What are people saying? Either to you, Meta, or to you, Stephen. Love to hear more.
Yeah, the first activation is going to be in the Philippines because we want to launch this in Asia. Obviously, Asia, sometimes the technology on the commerce side just is ahead of the States. And then the same thing that happened with TikTok started, they got the information and then they relaunched it in China, brought it back to the States. This is the same type of situation.
Yeah.
So we'll launch in the Philippines and then we'll launch globally at some point.
Nice. I was going to say, and China and some other big Asian markets. So I think we've already done some beta on the sort of the Amazon of the Philippines, biggest platform out there. But a lot of U.S. celebs also want, they already have a pretty big presence in the U.S.
Yeah,
so
sure.
An opportunity for, Meta, for example, he's sleeping and he's going to be earning money.
Yeah.
His avatar is going to be earning money for the real Meta, in the Philippines and China. While he's sleeping and he doesn't have access to that market, he's not going to get on a plane and fly 14 hours. So that's part of the value out of version 1 is not only are they ahead technically, China's doing, I think, close to 100 billion in live commerce this year. The U.S. is doing under 2. So they're way ahead. But also it's an opportunity for U.S. celebs and a lot of A-listers, B-listers to be able to kind of earn in markets they wouldn't otherwise be able to address.
Mm-hmm. And then I don't know how much you guys can kind of talk about the rollout of the product, but are you able to talk about people that are using it now and starting to kind of play around with it and, the celebs that have experienced the product so far?
Yeah, Meta's already done a beta, I think week before last, and we have 3 more that are set up. again, on big platforms with big brands. We can't announce them yet, but in the this month in April, there'll be 3 more sort of case studies going out, and I think it starts to scale in the summer.
Let's go. And you guys are sort of co-partners for 37 partners, right? Like, I'd love to hear more about 37 partners in general. Could you break down, like, what's the focus? What is the business? How do you guys operate together? It'd be really cool to understand.
Yeah, 37 partners was formed just by one of my partners, Matthew Heller, out of he's actually from California, lives in China, and also lives in Amsterdam. And it was just something where we wanted to get back to athletes. A lot of athletes, they don't really understand how to navigate, Asia. So we just wanted to create a product that can help athletes navigate from a digital perspective, using a digital likeness. And that's kind of where 37 came from. I got connected through my partners, through some third parties, and we just hit it off. And Matthew became CEO, and then me and Steve became partners.
Let's go.
And Meta and I, we partnered for almost a decade. We invest in some companies together. I've started and run some pretty big companies myself, and Meta's kind of been engaged in that. So we've actually been sort of business partners for almost a decade.
I wanted to touch on the kind of the bridge between like culture and within that is kind of sport, and then also like the venture world, and how you guys are able to bridge that gap, and what PCC might be able to open doors in that respect as well, I assume. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, and maybe your like personal experiences as well, bridging that gap? I suppose you guys are on ETN, European Technology Network. I think in the US, it's particularly a thing to kind of bridge that gap of culture, sports, and the business side. Europe isn't as good at doing that, I don't think. And I'm super interested to hear your perspective on that bridging of that gap.
I think in American sports, I think what you're getting is a lot of athletes are seeing that they could drive traffic, drive revenue using their likeness, and this is since Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan started using their likeness on the business side. And now there's more. And now the athletes like myself, or athletes like Shaq, started in the 2000s, just building our own brand. I think what people did from Europe, for the most part, they built platforms, right, for us athletes to take advantage of. Shopify's, Facebook ads, and more. You can name it. There's a platform out there that can support it.
Yeah, very true. It's funny that because we're seeing it happen a little bit more in Europe, but like we are a little bit dwarfed in terms of like how well integrated the ecosystem is in America. I guess a next step from this is to ask a little bit more about what are you guys kind of most excited about looking forward, just after like the first activation is going ahead. Like, what are the things that are getting you guys the most pumped about this particular launch and this particular company?
Yeah, I'll jump in because I think I heard Meta's answer before, and I want to dovetail on top of that. If you guys are well aware, you've got AI is exploding. It's like it literally, it's hyped up as much as it possibly could, but this is a case where the hype actually meets the reality.
Yeah.
And if you look at sort of the live commerce, you look at where things are going, this is really the intersection. And so you've got an opportunity. My personal take, and I'm also an investor in the company, is probably within the next call it 3 years to be conservative, celebrities will be making more money via their avatar than they make on their own sort of human body.
Wow.
Because of the opportunities that AI is going to present, and because of the technology and how, look, when we first started this, it was kind of clunky.
Yeah.
You could tell as an avatar. If you look at sort of what we've done, like even in this beta at the Philippines a couple of weeks ago, you can't tell. And it's only going to get better and better. And so if you think about from the potential for math, and you guys also mentioned sort of people who are abusing it, right? Now you've got a platform that not only gives opportunities to do it sanctioned in the way you want as an athlete or a celebrity, but also to track down people who aren't using, who are doing it illegally and shut that down. But at any rate, I think this is actually going to be, especially for a certain genre of celebrity, a bigger revenue stream than their actually core is able to do in the next, call it 3 years to be conservative. I think it's going to be massive.
Well, not being conservative, maybe in a year's time, Meta can come back on and it can be your avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. But it's right, like you mentioned it earlier, like there was definitely an opportunity during like the NFT craze for celebrities to capitalize on, and maybe it wasn't, the technology wasn't there at the time, but it does kind of seem now as we work, we've had founders and CEOs on that are doing some type of like Synthesia comes to mind, right? Like video generation, stuff like this. And there is a world in which, even with the current image generation tools, there is a world in which you could kind of like market celebrity profiles, whether it's like ex-sports players, musicians, or any of that sort of stuff, and I guess profit on it in a way. So it's nice to have, I guess, some like guardrails around that, or like something that protects these creators from, I guess, maluse or misuse.
Yeah, I think so. And I also think the fans, they want the real also. The fans don't want their favorite player or their favorite artist to be taken advantage of, right? Because there's a connection there, right? So it's kind of guardrails on both sides. I don't want to go on YouTube and then read something that I'm interested in because I'm a fan of someone, but it's not necessarily a real story, and this is the same way when we're connecting to our fans on the commerce side.
Yeah. That makes sense. I guess what's next for you guys then, right? So what else? So we've got the launch coming up soon. What comes after that?
Yeah, the launch comes up and we just keep, plugging away. We got a couple big time celebrities that we're in talks with now. We don't want to, say their names, right away because how they protect their name and image and likeness. Yeah. But we have, and there's huge opportunities not only for celebrities and athletes, but also groups of, entertainment, teams and different things like that. But we have a lot in the pipeline.
Yeah. I was going to ask, how do you feel that, teams, so I guess the individual, say, you're looking at a basketball team, right? You've got all the individual players kind of using their celebrity likeness to profit off that, but then, provide more for their fans in an individual way. How do you see the teams kind of using, this platform and the technology? I'm super interested in, you guys are literally at the forefront of how people will, interact with sports and culture and everything that's kind of, in that realm. It's just super interesting.
It's definitely the time to reach out to us. I don't want to give too much away right now, and that's a great question. I can't wait to come back on your show. But if you're out there and you're trying to get involved in this space, investment from a fan side, consumer side, definitely reach out to 37 Partners, because the question you just asked, we have something big planned.
That's good. Look, teams are very engaged, very interested in any way to increase fan engagement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And given access to the team athletes is obviously something they do, but it's limited and it's not. And so just imagine, fan engagement and the types of sort of how you could extend that significantly with this type of technology. There's a lot of interest in teams on that front to really be able to offer 24/7 access to their athletes.
Yeah. And I've got a question just quickly before we let you go. I appreciate you guys, you're strapped for time. I wanted to ask about where you see, because there's so much opportunity out there, how do you guys focus specifically on, okay, we want to go for this first, and then we want to go for this. There's so many things that you guys can go and do with this space, and there's so much opportunity and so much green space that you can build in. How do you guys focus your time and, don't get all, oh my God, I need to do this and this and this and this, because it's easy to kind of go and try loads of different stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think
that's just good management. Look, I've been running. Focus is probably one of the most important aspects of managing. So you got to be able to prioritize focus. So we have prioritization meetings. We got to look at the opportunities. Can't be jack all trades, master of none. But that's it's a challenge. That's a challenge for any company, any size, any stage. So you got to have some discipline.
Oh yeah. We're coming up to time. Cautious that you guys don't have much of it given the craze around this, so we can cut it there. But thank you so much for coming on the show.
Where can we send people before you guys go?
Where can we like point viewers, listeners? Where can we send them? Like anywhere, websites or anything?
Yeah, go to 37partners asia.com, and you can also follow me on Meta World Peace 37 on Instagram, Meta World 37 on Twitter. And please direct message us on LinkedIn. You can find us on LinkedIn, and we'll love to just engage with you.
Good stuff.
Guys.
Well, look, we appreciate the time. Thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for getting up early as well. We appreciate that.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
And good luck with the launch. Keep us updated. We'll hope for you to come back. It'd be good.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Good stuff.
Cheers, boys. Thank you.
Soon.
That was awesome. Let's go.
Before we finish the show, Framer, build better sites faster, the all-in-one platform where enterprise teams design, build, ship, production-ready websites. Go to framer.com/ETN. That is the show. We will be at AI Engineer on Thursday. Guys, breaking news. We haven't announced that yet. But, dude, that was a wicked show.
That was awesome.
We will see you on Thursday. Ciao.